tragedy struck the comics community on June 8th when we lost an incredible up and coming cartoonist named Ian McGinty. Ian was 38 years old. Ian died, unfortunately, far, far, far too soon. And this death in particular really, really rocked the comics community. Now, you probably haven't heard of Ian McGinty. I think from what I could ascertain, Ian was on the rise. Ian had done Invader Zim comics, like Adventure Time comics, different things like that. But he had the Welcome to Showside through Z2 Comics, which was his own fully, creator-owned book, I believe. And he had a lot of fans within comics, people that make comics, people that are creators who loved him.
It's weird to say that he was up and coming because like he was doing big license stuff 10 years ago.
And
that's not to say, that you're what you're saying there is wrong, just that, he's a name that not a lot of people have heard of, and he hadn't had work at the big two. So that, so that sort of makes him up and coming because he wasn't a face.
Sure.
Yeah, in the weird world of comics, you could be 38 years old and up and coming. Like that's just kind of how the biz works.
And like he was kind of like the face of that whole like early like 2010s licensed cartoon character stuff, like Adventure Time and stuff. I actually remember him from Kate Leth did a podcast for a while.
Yep. Less Than Live with Kate Dot.
Yeah. It was a really good podcast, actually. It was one of like really good comic book podcasts at the time. And I remember Ian McGinty was on there because Ian worked with Kate on a couple of things at the time. It was just like a close friend. So like I had a voice for Ian McGinty in my head, like it's someone I've listened to, someone whose books I've read. So like when I saw this, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
It wouldn't even really be like, it could be the whole show if we simply sat here and read all of the words that were written about Ian in the last week since it was announced that he passed. You talk about love, and like we're gonna talk about Romita a little later, Romita Sr. And so unfortunately in comics we had two deaths sort of back to back, really, that rocked the industry. And so what Ian's death in particular did was it caused comics creators to take to Twitter and actually other places and talk about the effect that comic books have on and really I want to start with this way because I think the conversation spiraled into a lot of other things. But to take it back to what it started from, it was about the working conditions that artists in particular, but certainly everybody that works in comics, deal with in order to make comics, the physical working conditions. Because, it's like you might draw 12 hours a day, 9 to 12 hours a day. That's not crazy. That's not like it's crazy, but that's not crazy in this industry that someone would say, yeah, I had to pull 6 days straight of 12 hours of drawing to meet this deadline.
Even to that, like we've had people on the show like Tyler Tanner who have mentioned, they wake up at 4 or 5 in the morning just so that they can get ahead of stuff, and they have to really plot out their day because time is precious and the hours that need to be dedicated are extreme a lot of the time.
Yeah. So that's where this whole hashtag started. The comics broke me hashtag. And it was started by Shavana Sukdeo. Sorry if I butchered that. On Twitter. she's an Eisner Award winner. And she started the hashtag by telling her story. And that really just snowballed and became a thing where if you type in hashtag comics broke me on Twitter right now, I mean, there's over 1,000 stories and usages of the hashtag. It really exploded. And it's very, very, very sad to read these stories of creators, some of whom, I mean, listen, it ran the gamut. Big, mid-level, never heard of them, up and coming, like everybody. It ran the spectrum. And if you're a fan of comics and you don't look at that and really think about this industry and what's happening, and not just what's happening, what's been happening, then I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't see how you could be a fan of comics and the creators and then see these things and just not react or not have any feelings about it. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to break all this down. And we're going to share our feelings, and we're going to talk about what the industry can do, has to do in order to change. And also what creators might have to do in order to fight for change. Before we get into the conversation, and I'm going to open the floor, I want to say this. The worst part of the conversation, not the facts. The facts are that creators are being exploited. That is the worst part of this. Put that aside. The worst part of the conversation is that you either have total idiocy and complete ignorance, people spouting bullshit like, I don't remember who it was, and I really don't want to draw attention to the negative tweets, but people who said things like, oh, this is a skill issue, get good.
Yeah.
That's not going to be the tone of this conversation. That shit is stupid, and that's not what we stand for. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I do think that there is a nuance that gets lost when we're talking about emotional things. So I'm saying now that I want this conversation to be open. And I want us to be open-minded to each other, chat, us here, as we have this conversation. Because it could be heavy. Obviously, there's a lot of intense feelings. So I just want to put that out there. Kale, as you've seen this unfold, I'm assuming you've been following it to some degree. What are the thoughts that you've been having? What's been spurring to your mind as you read these stories?
Yeah, it sucks. Obviously, I didn't know Ian McGinty personally, but I was a big fan of his and Kate Leth's Bravest Warriors comic. I think the Adventure Time comics are some of the best licensed comics that are out there. So hearing this news actually hit me kind of hard, because often I think you don't hear about this a lot on our side of the street. Not that long ago, the creator of Berserk died at his desk, and there was a big conversation of what manga should do, and the Japanese comic industry, what they should do to prevent this type of thing. And often, like I said, this conversation doesn't happen over here. And man, I reading the stories and hearing, I'm close friends with a lot of small creators, and hearing their stories and knowing some of the stuff they've been through, some of the stuff my wife went through when she was an editor. Look, I even now, I am still waiting on a check from a comic book company that the editor forgot to send to accounts.
Horseshit.
And like, I need this check to fix my car. Like, so I am, this hit me hard. And I got to tell you, it is a frustrating time to be fighting for the industry, and especially in this environment with along with the WGA strike, watching the writer strike in Hollywood, and even just thinking about being a creator is just like, it's exhausting to me. The whole reason I thought about uh pivoting to TV was so that I could diversify my output. And so I wouldn't get caught in a box, where if I'm offered Batman, I can't say no and they can rake me over the coals or whatever. We had a conversation a year or two ago with Brian Edward Hill that inspired that from me. And, I've never looked back, but I just like, I'm sort of, I'm a bit at a loss. I'm, I don't know if this industry is worth it. And that's not to say comics aren't worth it. This industry is, it burns people out, and I don't know if I have it. I really don't.
I mean, it's not worth it. You know what I mean? Like in hindsight, I think like Ian's last Facebook post was like, I just want to make comics with my friends.
Yeah, it was.
And for all I know, it hasn't really been explained out there, but like from all I know, like he passed through like some like just health, like just a sudden health issue, Kale, do you know if he was Canadian or if he was from the US?
I think he's Canadian. I could
I'm just assuming that from the
You're
podcast,
referring to Ian?
Yeah.
Ian was born in Maryland.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So this solidifies my idea where it's like, in this industry where you don't have healthcare, nobody's paying you, nobody's giving you healthcare to work on a comic. It's just you get paid for that comic. The going to a doctor is something you have to weigh. It's not even just like not even just like, can I afford it? It's, do I have the time for it? Can I get away from my desk to even get this checked out? So in an industry where like most of the creators, writing, artists, they don't have healthcare. So could that have been avoided? Who fucking knows, really? You know what I mean? So that kind of beats me up inside. And, a lot of the, as the Comics Broke Me stuff came out, people have talked about pay and have named companies who've missed payments, who are still missing payments. Another one that like seemed to shock people, which was like wild to me because I know about it. It was like Marvel. I think Heather Antos called out Marvel. We should get Heather on the show. She talked about how when she was editing Star Wars and Deadpool, she was making about $30K a year in New York City.
Damn.
That is, you cannot. I mean, this is probably 7-8 years ago, maybe a decade ago.
Still.
But you cannot live off of that.
That's a full-time job and 2 part-time job money.
Yeah. Yeah, or 5 roommates,
Sure.
Like it is unsustainable. And meanwhile, the head of the company is probably making 100 times that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's wild. And like just the fact that, these are the ones actually making, like, without these types of people, without artists, without writers, without editors, like nothing happened. Those big companies don't make any money. So it's just it is I think this happening and the writer strike happening, I think it's kind of becoming a powder keg. Where people are realizing like, hey, this is an industry that's similar, to the, like screenwriters and actors. We are creators, but it's not unionized, because there's just so many companies and there's free stuff. So I hope something happens there, but like, it's just like, all right, corporate greed is around and it's rough. It's rough.
Well, my worry about that, and I've tooted that horn for years.
Yeah.
I genuinely don't know if we could. Because if, somebody says no, Marvel's going to go to the next guy.
Well, not even that. Like you've seen on Twitter, like they've been going to, like, people are like, yeah, I outsource all my art to Philippines. I pay them a tenth of what I would normally pay. And like people are like bragging about that. Like,
oh yeah,
oh, look what I'm doing. Like I found how the system works, And I'm just like, you piece of shit. Like you're what's driving down rates for people who live here.
Yeah, but then you get artists like Nestor Redondo, like famous for their DC work. You get Puerto Rican artists. You get
and they should be paid well as well. You shouldn't be picking them just because they live in an area where you can get away with paying them less. You know what I mean? It becomes a moral thing. I don't give a shit about money.
They start living well.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
I'd rather someone live well than most people live horribly.
Sure.
So Kale brought up the death of the creator of Berserk, right?
Yumura, is that his name?
Yeah, Moira.
Yeah.
Moira.
Miura.
Yura. Okay.
Okay. Miura. Thank you. And when we talked about that, it was in relation to something else. But when we talked about that, I said, if that happened in comics, and I always use Clayton Cowles, and it's a joke, right? But I always use Clayton Cowles as an example. And in that episode, I said, if Clayton Cowles died at his desk working on Batman, there would be a revolution in comics. Now, Ian McGinty, unfortunately, didn't get the opportunity to become what he would have become. I mean, this is a career trajectory that reads to me, hey, this guy's going somewhere. An art style that's really popular, working on very popular IP, that translates. We see people like that find a lot of success.
Well liked, too, which helps in the industry, where it's a lot of who you know.
150%. Yeah. Gone too soon, we see the reaction of of an individual who comics readers, by and large, probably couldn't name. If this was somebody that we could immediately look at and go, oh my God, I see that person's name on every book I read, and they're just gone due to overworking, which I should clarify, we don't know for a fact that that's why Ian died. But, you can kind of surmise that based on the lifestyle of a comics creator, sitting at your desk for 12 hours a day or whatever is probably not healthy for a variety of reasons, right? And so that's kind of where this conversation is coming from. But if it was a Clayton Cowles or somebody who's got that kind of name recognition, I don't even know what would happen. Because go ahead, Kale.
I don't know. Like you say, I have a hard time thinking anything would. I really do.
All right. Well, we'll talk more about whether or not something will happen, because I think that's something that we should address for sure. I do want to say thank you to Atomic Hound for the $9.99 super chat. Really appreciate that as always, buddy. He says, obviously this is a comic show, and not to distract from that, but isn't this a microcosm of companies squeezing workers to protect those at the top of the pyramid? 150%.
My man gets it.
150%. Yeah. Now but this is something that I think people don't want to hear right now, which is that we understand that capitalism, as it has been performed and put into action, often leads to the exploitation of the worker. And it doesn't matter what industry we are talking about. I don't care. There are industries like the video game industry in which they actually have healthcare and things like that. Is crunch not a factor? Is crunch not a massive problem in video games? Is pay not a problem in video games? Is harassment not a problem? That's that industry. When you look at film and television, what are they dealing with? They're trying to have a revolution. And how often does that happen? 15 years ago or whatever, we were in the same spot with them that we're in right now again. Because every industry is suffering from the same problem, which is the exploitation of the worker. That's not going anywhere. You can shift industries. You can say, screw comics, I'm out of here. Where are you going to go that you're not going to get exploited if you don't work for yourself?
Yep.
Most of the comics people are going to TV and film who are having that same issue.
And what are you about to deal with?
Yeah, exactly.
You know? And so, in a way, and again, I understand maybe not a popular thing to say, but in a way, comic books give you, if you do it yourself, which is very hard. I have not done that. I have not put that kind of effort in to making comics on my own. But if you do it yourself, it removes you from the equation of being exploited by people that you are working for. So Victor Dandridge is a creator that we have on the show a lot. And he doesn't have a boss. For better or worse, he is his own boss. And he has grinded ever since I got into this to what we do here. I have seen him at every single comic book convention that I have been to. And he has been selling his wares from when he had some floppies to what he has now. He is fully self-employed. And then he does things at conventions. He's a grinder. He's a warrior. That lifestyle is not for everybody. That has its own problems. But nobody is exploiting Victor Dandridge.
Well, I mean, by its yes, but by its nature, like he's having to do all these things, you know, market them and, you know, pay the artist out of his own pocket and, you know, all these things, like just that in and of itself is exploitation.
It's trickle-down exploitation, really.
I mean, it's removing yourself. It's removing yourself, in my opinion, it's removing yourself from an exploitative system by making yourself your own boss. There's no industry you're going to go to where you're not going to eat shit if you have a boss. We don't eat shit, you know, and it's like, obviously this doesn't pay our bills, but as we get bigger, right, we're going to own this. And we work hard for this, and this will be ours, and no one can take this from us.
I mean, even the grinder, I think, I'm kind of with you, Kel, like, is dealing with exploitative practices or fallout, really. Just from the nature of the industry. Like, it is the nature of capitalism to have the worker be exploited in every sense of the word. Designed that way.
Like they have to work extra hard for things that would otherwise be covered in like a corporate environment where you could come in and do your, you know, supposed 8 hours and pull out 10, 11, but then a Victor Dandridge has to do those other pieces that would otherwise be done on top of the work that they're in. So like it's a lot of diligence. It's a lot of dedication. And I think there's a difference in expectation there. Outcome might be, overwork. I think the outcome nets out to be the same thing. It's just the method to which you get fucking overworked.
It's commendable, like 1,000,000%.
Yeah,
I couldn't fucking do that at all. But also I'm of the person where it's like, I don't think people should have to grow. You know,
but
I got 3 jobs, I got 4 jobs. So I'm like, you shouldn't have to.
But you saying that doesn't change the world.
Oh, I know.
And you say,
know.
so right. So like Victor Dandridge found a way out of hey, we need you to turn in this script today. Yeah. And it was due a month. You thought you had a month.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, that is a whole other side of this conversation where you're saying it's exploitation, but Marvel doesn't call his phone and say, hey, bud, yeah, listen, if you can't turn in this script by Sunday, we're going to go with someone else. Oh God, my son's baseball game is on Sunday. Yeah, but we need the script.
I think what I'm trying to say is, like, it's not, the comics industry isn't exploitative in that sense, but it's more like just the fact that capitalism is exploitative. It's always going to be exploitative.
I think there are two conversations here
Micro,
that are
macro
happening that are a thin line of, like, Tyler and I are trying to capitalize, criticize capitalism overall. Whereas the other part of the conversation is like, this is comics, and all of it's correct, but it just kind of depends on how far you want to go.
Yeah.
Well, if you let's look at video games, right? You could work for EA, and you could be told, hey, for the next 6 months, we're in crunch because our game has to ship. So you who think you work 8-hour days, actually you work 12. You who think you have all these days off, actually you don't. And we'll fire you if you don't agree to do this. You could do that, or you could be an indie developer and you can make your own games, right? Like, that sucks that people have to do that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to highlight the fact that, thankfully, as a creative person, there are opportunities and ways for you to take the power out of the hands of these corporations and put it into your own hands. It is not an easy road.
Yeah.
But I don't see how you work for a boss and at any level and don't get exploited.
To which, in that example, I would, I think it's Jason Schreier's book about video game crunch. I can't remember what
Jason
it is.
Schreier, the GOAT.
But he talks about the Stardew Valley guy, who just wanted to make a simple farming game, and he ended up, like, sleeping 2 hours a night or something for like 6 years trying to code and make this game and make it perfect. And he wasn't at a company, and he had all these sleepless nights. And I think Jason says in the book, he even, like, pretended to go get a job, but was actually doing the, so, through that, I would say that he has to exploit himself with this labor and, make, there's nothing to back him up except a spouse, or a partner. And, oh God, hope she doesn't get tired of me. Again, it's the conversation of, the whole thing is exploitative, but Sean's right. That's the thing, is you don't want to be exploited. You got to work harder.
And again, I'm not saying, and Kale wasn't just saying, skill issue. That's not the point of that.
Yep.
Let's shift gears a little bit. And this is a disgusting story, in my opinion. This is from D Kniff on Twitter. Quote, reading the terrible experiences of #comicsbrokeme has saddened me. An industry that we love so much shouldn't treat us so badly. I've accrued $50,000 plus in non-payments from publishers and colleagues in the last 10 years, which led me to have to double job in order to pay my bills. I work 80 plus hours a week. I've missed family occasions, friends' birthdays. I've left my sister's wedding early to hand in pages. I rarely take holidays, and when I do, I end up working in the hotel room while my wife does things on her own. I can't sustain this lifestyle much longer. The fear of being dumped by a publisher for pushing back on deadlines or payment is real. We break our bodies, hearts, and minds for comics. It shouldn't be this tough. Now, that is a separate issue, in my opinion. You could say to yourself, you know what? I'll do it. I'll work 12 hours a day. I don't care. I want to make comics. This is what I want. I want to work for Marvel. And Marvel's not the publisher of reference in this example, as far as we know. I'm using Marvel. I want to work for Marvel Comics. And then you do the work, you bust your ass, you don't get to go to birthdays, weddings, etc., and then you don't even get paid on time. $50,000 of unpaid work in 10 years. $50,000.
Yep,
that's wild.
And because there's no union, like, what are you gonna do? You know what I mean?
You can't do anything, and that's beyond exploitation, in my opinion. That's criminal, and it's theft. How do you go ahead?
Yeah, if you say something, you risk not getting any work, being labeled difficult to work with. Like I said, I with my company this week, I had to write an email and say, look, by law, I can charge interest on a late payment. Like I don't want to ruin our working relationship, but look, I have the right to do this. You need to pay me.
And the shit part is, like, you can't therein come back to them and be like, as much as it feels and probably is a sustainable case for like retaliation, can't pay that fee, can't pay a fucking lawyer. Like,
yep, yeah, and they
like,
know it.
Yeah,
and there's no union, so there's nobody to fight for you.
And then say, walk with that example, Marvel. You got fucking Disney lawyers coming at you. Like, come on.
The state of Florida can't even handle Disney lawyers. You know what I mean? Like, what is Joe Lederer gonna do?
Joe Lederer,
Hail Lederer.
To me, that story really, really stuck out and burned me up, because hustling is one thing. Like, if that's your dream and this is how you need to get your creative rocks off, and you're working for someone and you're getting paid, hats off.
Yeah.
You should get fucking paid.
Yeah.
That's insane. And there were so many people. That's one story. We don't have time to get into everything. There were so many people who had almost that exact same story.
Yep.
So all these publishers, we interviewed Rom V, and I specifically asked Rom, do you think there are too many publishers in comics? And Rom said no. And obviously that was in the context of Distillery. We're having a conversation about Distillery. But how can you say to me that there aren't too many publishers in comics when these publishers pop up, they promise all kinds of great stuff, they don't pay, and then they fold? Where's Aftershock at? Yep. And what about their late payments and the creators that they owe?
Aftershock was named a lot in this Comics Broke Me stuff.
Of course, people have the balls to name Aftershock. They're gone.
I mean, it wasn't just Aftershock that was named, but yeah.
Well, okay, but they were named the most. There's a reason for that.
Sure, yeah, because you don't have to worry about retaliation at that point. It's like,
yeah.
We're in the clear.
Right. But guess what? Those same people that ran Aftershock into the ground will probably land on their feet somewhere else, and they may just remember what you said.
And don't forget, the people who run the other bad publishers who are still around, they're also looking at Twitter, looking at all of this stuff,
Right.
You start naming names, you're a dangerous person to work with.
Marvel going back to Italy for all their artists.
It's wild to think that this doesn't have the opposite effect, right? On like, oh shit, I as a publisher need to do better, or I as a publisher have to step my game up in order to not be like one of these, as opposed to being, nah, we're one of these and we will try to like fly under the radar as much as possible. And that's that sucks at an industry level, that publishers would much rather hold face like that than save face with a creator or with the industry at large.
Oh, I'm sorry. Matt corrected me that Aftershock isn't gone. I thought I read that they were gone. I thought I read that they were bankrupt and that they were.
Oh, you can declare
bankrupt.
bankruptcy and still exist. So
Yeah.
They're gonna come
I
back.
I was going on to say I thought I read that they were bankrupt and gone, but clearly that isn't correct. So thank you for the correction there.
Matt, one of the only people I know who still reads previews, but I appreciate that. So
Hey, listen, he's fact checking us, so
It's
can't
true,
be
yeah.
that bad. Top Lane ask, isn't this why we need distillery? And to a degree, yes.
For me, it's a we'll see.
Yeah,
The-
very much so.
The thing is, right, and I'm not, forget about distillery for a moment. Every time that a new publisher pops up, it's like, hey, that's great for comics, more publishers, more places for people to work. But then look what happens.
Right.
Who's getting paid?
Right.
Distillery is promising all this money. Once the seed money, once the upfront money that they have dries up, right, and they've spent it on creators and everything else, and now they've got to make their money off the books, and that digital scheme they've got going on. Does this happen over there? I hope not. I hope with the names involved that we never hear stories about distillery of this nature. It won't happen to Snyder. It won't happen to aforementioned Rom V. They're founders. They're in on the ground floor. But are they going to be there every day, making sure that creators are not ever in any way, shape, or form being haggled with for rates, being paid on time for sure? Are they going to ensure that these things take place? Who knows?
We thought the same thing about Black Mask when it took off, and it looked like it was going to explode, and
Right.
it was going to take on indie creators, and oh yeah, more publishers, more indie spaces, and where's Black Mask?
It
Right.
exploded.
New chatter that new to me anyway, KO274. You got to stop buying stuff from the worst offenders. Okay. Let's tackle that.
Yeah. If you don't buy the stuff from the worst offenders, how do the creators get paid?
If you don't buy the stuff, right?
Yeah.
So there was a comment from Rich Vike.
Oh, that's my dad, by the way.
Hey. Oh. different Rick Veitch.
Oh. I'm proud of all those who've had the courage to stand up and publicly name names and reveal rates. Bravo. Let's hope it leads to a new understanding on the part of the readers who unwittingly fund the whole rotten scheme by buying books published by bad actors. So this individual is saying the same thing that your dad said.
Yeah.
The problem is that by my standards, every single publisher is a bad actor.
Yeah, Marvel and DC are at this point,
Like every publisher that we know of, that I can think of, was in some way brought up during this whole fiasco. So who can I buy books from?
It's industry practice.
I don't have a personal desire, right? Like just me to support the existence of like DC Comics. I love DC. I have nothing against DC. But when I buy a comic, I'm not thinking like, yes, I must support DC Comics. I'm thinking, wow, I can't wait to read this story that I'm going to enjoy.
Yeah.
There's no way for me to directly pay money to Joshua Williamson randomly for my enjoyment of his work. In order for me to buy his work, I have to buy DC Comics.
Yeah.
But if DC Comics is exploiting people, what am I supposed to do? If I stop buying Joshua Williamson's comics, then all of a sudden he doesn't have a job, and I'm protesting.
Yeah,
it's 1-to-1.
Same with this Flash movie.
Whoa, okay.
They've got a criminal that's the headliner, but I don't want to go see it, but I want a Flash movie to exist. What am I supposed to do?
And in that case, in that case, someone could say, well, hey, Ezra's been paid, but there's still money to be made on Ezra's part for that movie.
Yep.
So all the money hasn't been made. But for somebody like, let's not even use Josh Williamson. Let's use Dennis Culver, someone who's on the come up, right?
Sure.
If we all stop buying Doom Patrol because we want to not support DC Comics, DC Comics is not going to suffer. Dennis Culver will.
Yeah. Doom Patrol will, as an IP
right.
too.
Then there just won't be a Doom Patrol book because DC will learn the lesson. Oh yeah, people just don't want to read Doom Patrol. Dennis Culver didn't succeed. Forget the whole thing.
Yep.
No ethical consumption under capitalism. That's that old phrase. Like,
and Joel brings up Substack, and like that's great. Substack is great. But
is it?
I also great point. But I want to support those people that way, but I also want to read Doom Patrol.
Exactly.
My dollar can only go so many places.
And not everybody's on Substack.
And the other thing is your Substack will, at least historically it seems, does well depending on how well you are known outside of Substack.
Yeah.
I don't know of any creator coming up through Substack.
Because please name me one.
Yeah. Substack was given the bags to the well-known people.
You have to have that audience built in because they're not going to let you just go on the platform and be like, oh yeah, here, start from scratch. Like, no, you need to drive people to substack.com as the thing first.
There's another point I would like to make. This problem, this episode is labeled Comics Broke Me Exposes Broken Comics Industry. It's exposing the broken comics industry in the sense that these are all quiet facts about comics.
Yeah.
The same exploitation that we're talking about is the same exploitation that Bill Finger experienced. It's the same exploitation that everybody has experienced going back to probably the 1920s and whenever else. From the first comic book, right? There was probably some level of exploitation happening, right?
That dude got paid too little for that kid in those pajamas.
Right. Like, this is as a part of the industry as any other part of the industry.
Yeah.
Why? Because it's a business. That's what business is. It is exploitative of the workers. There's not any businesses that I can personally think of where there's parity in pay between the people at the top and the bottom. Now, I'm not even necessarily saying that I think that's how things should work. But if someone is essentially poor, right? And then there's people that are making way, way, way more money than them, right? That sucks. And that is exploitative. If you have a job and that job is not enough for you to live your life, at least, that's terrible.
Yeah. But Bobby Money up top has 10 houses.
Zaslav.
Yeah, I was gonna
the
Zaslav up top, he's got multiple houses that just retain dust at this point,
Akira Yoshida can backdoor his way into being the editor-in-chief at,
diversity hire.
And I don't count people's money. I really don't care how much other people make. And if let's say David Zaslav has worked to the degree that he got himself into that position through whatever his means, hats off. There should not be people working for you that can't afford to eat.
Yep.
If you said, hey, you know what? We can afford to make it so that everybody that works at Warner I'm just going to throw out a number, make $60,000 a year. I highly doubt, at least $60K, right? I highly doubt that David Zaslav's, lifestyle would change if he made some less money, like 1 million less, for the people to be making more and be happier working for him. I don't think that's crazy.
But our investors, our stakeholders, they're gonna suffer.
Oh wait, is this Marco Socialist arc? Are we there? Did we get there finally?
That robot? Come on.
Haven't knocked that model out yet.
Top Lane says, if you can't afford to pay them, you shouldn't have a business in the first place. And that's another major problem that comics has in that I don't think a lot of people even realize the way that these companies work. Here's kind of the scheme.
And it's also a devaluing of the work itself.
Yeah.
I was trying to explain this to my mom to just a slightly lesser degree, because I know my mom's not going to understand, but like, if you're at a table drawing for 14 hours a day, like that's gonna cause problems, but the average person spends 3 seconds looking at the page and then throws the book away. It's a devaluing of that work.
Right. So the scheme that I was gonna break down is this: a publisher is in the business of publishing comics, you think, but they're actually not. They're in the business of taking the book that creators made and then optioning that to Hollywood and making that money. And so what happens is they publish your comic, but they convince you that, hey, listen, sign this deal, we'll pay you X amount, and then we will get the lion's share of the money that we make off the option, but you get to have your book published. Isn't that amazing for you?
Yeah.
Well, no, because then when the book gets optioned, you get a fraction, if you get anything at all, of the money that the company made. They published your book as a loss leader because they don't care if your book makes money. If it does, that's wonderful. But what actually matters is being able to sell it to Hollywood.
Yeah. And because there's no union and you have no manager and you might not have an agent, that contract might not mean shit to you, but they have people who will write that contract, so they make the most money they can.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And by the way, you won't even make any royalties.
Yep.
Because your book has to sell 7 to 10K to get the royalties. And guess what? There are very, very, very few books that make those numbers that are coming from these smaller publishers.
And guess what? That publisher ain't going to market that book either.
Yep.
And it's on purpose. It's a design. It's designed to exploit.
Yep.
So when we see all these publishers popping up, think about that.
The industry was built on people like Will Eisner, who, they used to chain make these things, in studios that were literally like comic sweatshops, like.
Yeah, it's disgusting. And you know what sucks is that everybody, all the creators, at some point or another, appear to have dealt with this, right? And yet, I read stories all the time about creators hurting other creators.
Yeah.
Writers exploiting artists by offering them terribly low page rates knowingly. I don't assume everyone knows what an appropriate page rate is, because those are like fucking nuclear code secrets in comics for some reason.
Yeah.
The amount of fluctuation that people bring up on like Twitter is wild, because there is no standard, because if you know a person, you'll pay X dollar amount. If it's somebody of whatever skill, like that gets wild.
Right. But writers exploiting artists exploiting writers. Hey, pay me and I'll do the work. Then they go ghost. That happens to writers constantly.
Yep.
Everybody's exploiting everybody. John Romita Sr. just passed, right?
What?
You didn't know that? We're going to talk about that a little later. Yeah.
Oh shit.
Marco's so not on the internet. Marco's just not on comic
Senior.
Twitter.
Senior, yes.
Senior. Not JRJR.
Holy shit. Oh my god, dude. That was I thought you meant JRJR for a second. I'm like,
no,
what?
Jesus Christ. That'd be the whole episode.
His dad.
Okay. Not any better, but
right. But
the dude was 93, so
right. Like that's more
understandable.
But he just died. And every post I saw, I read so many posts from creators, not one that I saw negative.
Yeah.
So how come John Romita Sr., a guy who, by all accounts, had a great career, worked really hard, made a lot of amazing comics, one of the most celebrated artists of all time. How come there are no bad stories about him?
Because he died.
My point being, why does everybody else have to suck? We're all being exploited. Why can't we treat each other decently? Help people come up. This is a guy that every story from every artist was, yeah, Romita saw my work and he gave me pointers and it changed my career.
Yeah.
He helped me.
Yeah. It reminds me of when the first Deadpool movie came out, there was that story going around that Rob Liefeld was taking sole credit for Deadpool when he made it with, was it Fabian Nicieza?
Right, yeah.
And Liefeld was like taking so much credit, really trying to, hype himself up. And it's like, there's a part of you that's like, yeah, I sort of get it. Guy's got to save face for his thing. But he's also doing it at the detriment of another creator, you know?
Right, exactly. And everybody should be in it together, presumably.
Yeah.
That's just not how, I mean, our country in particular, but that's just not how we've been taught on
100%.
purpose. It is by design that we're taught that.
And also, hurt people. If you're constantly being exploited and exploitation is the name of the game, why wouldn't that change you and affect you? 100%. It sucks. But it's true. I think there are probably a lot of people who, came into the industry bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, got that beat out of them, and went on to do the exact same thing to others. Because the industry is run, by and large, by creators or people who were editors or whatever they were. They get out of that and they start running companies. Jim Lee is basically the head of DC Comics.
Yep.
Having started as an artist.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's shift gears a little bit. We do want to get close to wrapping this conversation up. First time chat from the Light 4 says, happy birthday. Thank you so much. Tyler and I are very very pleased that it is our birthday weekend.
You got balloons?
So thank you.
I didn't get balloons. I
got balloons.
I still have divorce party balloons. That's all I got. But
yeah, Sean's got like people around him who care. You've got like cats.
Yeah, the cats, they can't. Yeah.
People, animals who care when you feed them.
Which I ran out of wet food today, so they're pissed at me.
Happy birthday.
Let's talk real quick about solutions and what can be done. So Top Lane says, I wonder if comics should be even more expensive to compensate. That's their line of logic. Or I wonder if comics should be even more expensive to compensate. I have thought a lot about the price of comics over the last 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
Specifically.
I felt that.
Yeah.
And you're going to find out why soon. But I have come to the conclusion that comic books cannot possibly be the price that they need to be in order for everybody to eat the way they're supposed to. Because there are too many hands that need to be paid off of too little money. If the average comic is $5, which I think they're $4, but $5 is creepingly becoming the norm, you're paying a writer, an artist, a colorist, a letterer, maybe an inker, an editor, the printing place, wherever they print the books, maybe. All these people, right? The direct market, they have to get their cut. The stores, they get their cut. Everybody's getting a cut off that $5. That ain't a lot of money. It's just not.
It's like when you get a pizza party at school and like the pizza had to be cut into the thinnest slices possible because that's the only way they can give you a pizza.
But I'm not paying $7 a comic. It ain't happening. I'll move on, I guess.
Yeah. And any further increase, that's not going to the guys that you want it to go to. Let's be real.
It's not. Go ahead.
That profit is gonna go into the company's coffers, really.
I don't disagree with that at all, but that's what it would take. Like if we presume that these companies have the best interests of the creators in mind, right? Which we know is not true, but let's just go with that. Comics can't cost enough to make this sustainable. They can't, because at some point, we've talked about this so many times, you can't keep raising the prices, because then you're eliminating audience. And eventually there's 1,000 people spending $100 a comic, and that's the comics industry. That can't happen. So if that can't happen, but you also can't keep raising the prices, but there's not enough money to be spread out so that everybody can eat properly, what the hell do you do?
KO on Twitch brings up a good point. Aren't there still ads in comics?
I don't know why there aren't, but the only ads I ever see are ads for like DC and Marvel's own books.
There are ads, and you can purchase them, but people don't do it because they're. I haven't seen an ad rep for DC or Marvel in a while, and I used to have them at a previous agency. I'm assuming marketing is usually like the first stuff to go. So if they're in dire straits, I can imagine a world where the marketing budget's not there for even ad sales. Like you got to call up a number or something at that point.
So even then, it's like, that dollar that could make that comic go further, that two, I've lived in England too long, 2 pennies an issue at 2 cents an issue, that could go to the marketing team. Now that could push the comic further. So it could eventually get 4 cents an issue. Like they don't exist.
And Dad,
so how does a comic make more money?
And Dad, all the X-ray glasses companies don't exist anymore. So those ads are all gone.
God, what a loss.
And also, let's be really honest. Let's be really, really truthful. Everybody here has looked at comic sales before.
Yeah.
DC and Marvel do not make their money off of the B or C list books. They make their money off the A list books. Batman, Spider-Man, Wolverine, Superman, Justice League, those characters' books are what prop up all of Marvel and DC when it comes to the sales of comics. So what the hell reason do they have, other than the kindness of their hearts, to go hard to pay the creative team of, to use the same book again, Unstoppable Doom Patrol, more money if hypothetically in this scenario, that book is not really like driving their sales like that?
I think the only thing you can argue is that is used to generate IP interest, which could be used in other media. The money is not in comics.
And that's probably what it is.
Yeah, so they prop it up. So like a Miss Marvel can then make a TV show, and they can make Miss Marvel in a movie, and they can make money off of the toys and the movie and the clothing and the notebooks.
Right.
But it's a gamble. You know what I mean?
How many copies does Batman sell in a given month? Let's say.
Certainly over 100,000. But I can't give you a specific number.
Let's say 120.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm just doing. You brought up all the publishers and shit. I'm doing a whole bunch of math of like making assumptions across the board, but like, let's say that $5 only stretches out to 70% for the publisher, 10% for distributors, and then you got to keep breaking that down: artist, writer, inker, letterer, editor, whatever. Like for a book like a Batman, assuming that all shakes out there, you're just at what, like maybe $500K in for that issue, assuming it's at that $5 and it all shakes out correctly. But then you're only given writers, like, again, based off assumptions, maybe a couple grand. If the check arrives, if it's equivalent to the amount of work that they actually put in that was a month's worth, right? Because these things are written or drawn so far in advance that it doesn't actually shake out to those things. These are pennies on the dollar.
So
See, and
Marco,
here's the problem. I have no idea what Marco just said.
Marco, I had to go back because obviously we all know that since COVID and things changed, it's very difficult to actually find out the numbers that comics sell. But I went back to 2019. The best-selling comic book in December of 2019 was Doomsday Clock number 12. It was $6 and it sold 117,000 units. Okay. Now, that was one of two comics in December of 2019 that sold over 100,000 units. The other one was X-Men. Not even a Batman comic sold more than 100,000 units in December of 2019. That's a low, low, low number. The number 100th book on Comic-Con's list of sales by unit was Far Sector issue 2, which sold 20,000 copies, guys. And by the way, what that number represents is not the amount of human beings that bought that book. It represents the amount of individual issues that sold to the direct market.
Yep.
That could be sitting in a back issue area somewhere in the back that never sold.
Yep. Yeah, and let me clarify that. That's the number of issues that went to comic book stores, not people.
Right.
So 20,000 copies went to comic book stores, not 20,000 people bought
Far Sector 2.
Far Sector 2 bought that issue.
Right, exactly. That's the other trick that they do. The comics industry is held up literally by smokes, mirrors, and strings. It just is. And the more that you invest yourself in it, the more that it becomes apparent. But I don't want this to be a totally negative conversation. Do any of you have what you believe are solutions to this problem that we haven't talked about already today?
Yeah.
Things that you think that the industry needs to be doing.
Guillotine.
Yeah.
For who?
Zaslav. Bob Iger.
All right.
Walt Disney.
I made a mistake. Let's not name the names of people that we want to.
We could get their addresses really easy.
Let's really not even go down that road anymore.
What's that image of Denzel Washington crying with the holding the gun?
Oh, yeah.
The meme is like me when I had to kill Tony Hawk in the race war, you know?
Yeah. This one, this sort of solution is like bigger political thing, but like, you know, arguing and working for like a universal basic income would massively change the game for creators.
For art,
nationalized healthcare
Yep.
would massively change the game for any creative industry.
You know,
Kale,
go ahead.
Those are socialist thoughts, though. We don't do that here.
Those are barely socialist thoughts.
I know.
I think that the solution to the problem that comics has is, I sort of agree with Kale in that the capitalism and the way that things are doesn't allow for creators really to go unexploited.
Yep.
And so things have to change kind of on a national scale, global scale, in order for us to see it. Because the reality is, and I hate to say this, it makes me sad, I genuinely don't think, and I know there are a lot of people that don't agree with this, I don't think there's enough money in comics across the entire spectrum of comics to sustain the amount of people that want to make money in comics. Whether we're talking about the publisher end or the individual end.
Yeah. There's a reason why I'd never I've looked at, you know, like Marvel openings and stuff. I live close enough where like Marvel is a job that I can look into. And as soon as I got out of college, I looked at it, I'm like, it's not enough for me to live. Can't do it. You know, like there's just not enough money there.
And it's, you know, it's a thing of like, you know, they were bought by the biggest company in the world.
Yeah.
To like Heather Antos said, but so what? Like,
yeah,
she was working on the top, like the top 10 bestsellers of, books at the time she did. And she still was only making $30K in New York City, and this was only 5-6 years ago. Well, a little longer than that. Yeah,
More than that,
within
but
the last 10 decade, the last decade.
100 years.
So 10 decades.
Rob Forbes.
Heather was editing Cap 1.
Yeah.
Rob Forbes says, "I know this would kill the direct market rate, but wouldn't the direct market? But wouldn't it be better for the companies and employees if they moved away from single issues and did trade paperback releases in big bookstores?"
I don't.
So okay, so the European model
Yeah.
works that way.
Right.
Creators still don't get paid shit.
Yeah. And what does Europe have that creators here don't have? Healthcare.
Reasonably priced healthcare, at least.
Yeah.
Like
more housing rights. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ryan Higgins, who is a comic book store owner, I believe in California, who I quote a lot. He said, I'm sorry, I believe his name is Ryan Higgins. He said,
Sounds right.
there's only two ways this can go in terms of what would increase the amount of money in comics. And that's more units being pushed out, or rather more people buying comics, or comics costing more.
Yep.
One of two things.
Yep.
Either more people want to read these, or we charge more. That's the only two things that can really, really move the needle, unless something were to happen nationally. That would change things.
As the boardroom exec, which is easier to do?
Oh yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And I also don't think personally that there is this hidden audience. I contend that there are people that want to read comics, and there are people that don't know about comics that might be inclined to read them, but I don't know that they're looking for the direct market. I don't know that they're looking for superheroes. I don't know that they're looking for the presentation of Western comics as they are.
That's the whole Dan Didio Lost Generation thing.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. They Top Lane and The Light bring up the Japanese model. And the thing about the Japanese model is that they have their audiences sectioned out so precisely.
Yep.
There's women's comics, there's girl comics, there's little girl comics, there's men's comics, there's boy comics, there's teenager comics, like there's little boy comics, like, there's a manga for everyone. You've even got your pervert tentacle gang comics. Like, that's nuts.
Right.
You can pick those up at the train station.
Gang.
And that's normal. And that's normal there. But even still, people are dying at their desk. They're, I mentioned the Will Eisner sweatshop process. They have people who only draw the figures. They have people that only draw the backgrounds. They have people that only do the lettering, and it's a there's a
factory
conveyor
line
belt
sort of thing. Yeah.
Well, what did you say?
Like a factory line sort of thing.
Yeah. And there's still just like there's so much that someone has to do. There's an episode of Kamen Rider 01 literally about this, because the premise of the show is that the main guy is the CEO of a robot corporation. They're spreading out robots and androids to make the world a better place. So there's a character in this Monster of the Week episode who's a manga creator, and the robots are beginning to feel exploited by this guy because he's taking all the credit and he's barely churning out good plots. And the robots are like, no, this is stupid. And they rebel and they turn into, monsters because he's taking advantage, and he's lost his own passion, and he doesn't, He doesn't want to do it. And that's like a perfect example of the industry at large. It's the whole comics as a medium is disposable. And therefore, its people are disposable.
Yep.
You know what, Kale? That was very well said.
Even with the
came out of
writer.
a common writer.
Yeah. Kale Swamp Thing.
Any other solution propositions?
I think a shift in mindset from what is valued in paying at the moment. People pay for like information technology. People pay for engineering, and I think we're realizing that those maybe aren't as like, yeah, they're valuable and they're necessary for industry at the moment, but as new technologies come up, like we need to shift away again from some of those things to stuff that is more laborious, stuff that is art focused. Because like I think that therein helps. It helps us who don't create art consume more and consume it better, and I think that that's important to have and to continue to want to facilitate. Like I want to enjoy and continue to enjoy my art, but I need to be able to ensure that I can prioritize providing the advantages to those creators, or can provide those advantages to those creators.
Go ahead, Tyler.
Nothing. I like putting this GIF on Marco's screen. I'm just laughing at myself.
The what?
Oh, whenever you start talking math, I put up a beautiful mind transparent GIF on your camera.
That's
Like the
hilarious.
numbers
Wait, really?
moving around.
It's so funny because we can't see that, but the audience is reacting to it.
Wait,
But-
what?
Marco, were you what? All those words you said right there.
Yeah.
Were you saying? What were you saying?
Man, I wasn't listening.
Like people need to value other industries less and value art more, and pay out based on that.
Oh, got you.
Oh, okay,
So yeah,
okay, I
so
see.
instead of paying out the ass for engineering, well, maybe not even necessarily instead of, but
Right.
valuing art as much as engineering. And
Exactly.
I see.
Yeah.
I say just fucking vote correctly.
what's
But then-
correctly?
I
Right.
mean,
Like,
yeah,
We have a
like-
Democratic president right now today.
yeah, we know what that is.
I
Who's
know.
But-
did,
you know.
done nothing.
I
The
trust me,
thing
Sean.
that stopped me genuinely from making comics and paying an artist what they deserve is my student loans. I have $130,000 in student loans, and I can't even make a life for my family, let alone someone else's.
Yeah. But like this is where like student loans, healthcare, like some form of universal basic income, pipe dream, that would allow art to actually be made with a lot less stress.
A lot
And-
less stress, but I think, and this is in response to KO's thing in the Twitch chat as well. If people pay more, the artists will still be exploited. I think that's true. I think even if
Yeah.
you pay them, it doesn't matter, right? You have to fix the
system.
right?
Agreed,
Yeah,
yeah.
because otherwise, they'll be living more comfortably. Cool. I don't have to stress out about the fact that I can't afford going to whatever the emergency room for like an ulcer, like a stress ulcer. But the very fact that I have a stress ulcer is the concerning part. Like, you're still gonna be exploited to that degree.
And guess what? And this is what kind of upset me. Like, you could make $30, $40, $50, $60 an hour doing comics. But should you really be sitting working for 12 hours a day, cramping, catching all kinds of things from being sat, living a sedentary life? Your arms are messed up, drawing. It doesn't even matter how much money you're making. That's not a healthy way to live.
And people
comic books take so long to make.
And people just like think like, oh, it's it's not physical labor. You're not doing anything. The human body is not meant to be in positions like that. for periods of time that long. Like people get, like their nerves and their arms start getting ruined.
Right.
Even in IT, I work IT. There's like IT arm where it's like the nerve in your elbow, kind of where your funny bone is, just gets ruined for people, and then they can't use their arm. You know what I mean? So like, I know it's not a garbage man throwing trash into a bag, and into the back of a truck where it's like physical labor, but like this stuff still messes people up.
Yeah. KO asks, more artists run comics. Do they exist where the artists are properly valued? I mean,
we'll see with Distillery.
Yeah, I guess I don't personally know of a publisher that treats their creators well top to bottom. I think everyone's guilty. But Top Lane says Webtoon, and Webtoon is definitely not the answer. Webtoon is we just interviewed Michelle Fuss, and they told us about the Webtoon experience, and it ain't a good one.
It's hard to get in, the payout's different, and it's I think those are places that allow you for distribution, but distribution does not they're an equal payout.
Yeah.
I think the thing is, and maybe we can wrap this up here, the most actionable thing you can do right now is, if you like a creator at any level, figure out a way to support them individually. If that's Patreon, if that's Substack, if that's, figure out a way to art commissions, figure out a way to pass them your dollar so that they can live. If you're on Twitter and you see someone promoting their book, hit that retweet button. Getting more eyes on stuff and taking the company out of the that interaction is the best thing you can do to keep artists fed.
I agree with that 150%. I think on our end of things, like the fan end, that's really all we get to do. Unfortunately, I feel like every conversation that involves comics leaves out the fans. Because we're like, creators are certainly the lowest person on the totem pole, but we're not even in the conversation.
Fair.
And so, yes, I do think that, for those of us, and we're comics readers, so to some degree we have exposable income, you can be choosier about where it goes. And me personally, I don't judge people for what they want to spend their money on. I think spend your money how you like. But if you care about this issue, then that's certainly something you can do. Atomic Hound said, would a higher margin per book help retailers and creators? Should Batman have a rotating backup with Hawkman, Doom Patrol, etc., and not 3 to 4 pages that are generally substandard but full issues? To be honest, I don't think that anything will convince the publishers to pay more, and that's the biggest factor. Even if they were raking in the money, if they could get away with paying less, they certainly would, because there have been boom periods in comics, and they still didn't pay much. Unfortunately, obviously, there are people who have made tons of money off of comics. There are people in the industry right now doing very well for themselves off of comics, but you're talking about a percentage of the industry and not anywhere close to the majority of people working where you would think they'd be making great money. When I was a kid, I thought everybody who worked for Marvel and DC was a rock star, but they aren't. And then Atomic Hound is leaving, so thank you for joining us. We do have to move on. We gave this a lot of time today, more time than I intended, but it deserves it. This is a topic that is at the front of my mind as a comic book fan, because there are no comics without the creators. That's a fact. Marvel, DC, Zaslav, Distillery, whoever, Image, who are exploiting people. Image gets a great rap in this industry, but they have a union that they've been treating like shit. We haven't talked about it, but their union members are now taking Image to court because they've been treating those union workers like shit. The first comics union, they're being treated like shit. What's it been? 2-3 years?
Not even.
If that. A year. It's a year.
Because I talked about it on the show.
Right. Yeah. It's been less than a year, I believe, and they're already putting the screws to them. So no one is safe, and no one is exempt. It's everybody's responsibility to fix comics, whatever that solution is going to look like. But I'll say this: creators have way more power than they realize, as ever. And honestly, maybe it's time to stop being afraid. Maybe it's time to say, you know what? I'm naming names. And if they blackball me, be damned. Because you can't blackball everybody. You can't turn everybody away. And yeah, there are scabs. There are scabs that will work, that don't care, that will do it for less. But guess what? Audiences can tell. Audiences can tell. If a book sucks, people don't buy it. You know, people make fun of Amazing Spider-Man and say how bad it is, but that's not true. Like Zeb Wells and John Romita Jr. are not untalented people. Mm-hmm. They've put the work in. Maybe you don't like it, but no one can say they're bad creators. What if you pull somebody who's young and new and doesn't know much and not trained properly and hasn't had much experience, and you go, hey, we'll pay you $20 a page. They don't know. They take it.
Yeah.
And they're not great. And then we drop the book. So those are my final thoughts. But this is never going to go away, this conversation, until something changes.
Rest in peace, Ian.
Thank you, Kale.
Sorry.
Thank you. So, we do have a lot more show to do. Obviously, It feels weird with the context of the conversation we just had, but we do intend to have some fun today because it is our birthday episode. Well, Tyler and I's birthday episode. So we do have some fun things that are going to happen. I have something really cool that I'm excited to share. So we'll get to that here in a little bit.
That's something I know about? Or?
No one knows.
Oh, shit.
No one knows.
A typical Sean mystery.
Right.
Ruh-roh.
You want to hear how mysterious it is? I don't even know.
What?
You're going to realize what I'm talking about shortly.
All right.
But I have the responsibility of letting you guys know what's happening in Comics Pals Land. So, big announcement. We are very happy and proud to announce that on July 1st, we will be having on the show the creator behind the very popular Clementine, which was the Walking Dead spin-off book or whatever.
Yep.
That was super popular, very well received, is getting a sequel. Tilly Walden. Tilly Walden will be joining us.
Woo!
I'm super excited. I actually haven't read Clementine, but I'm dying to do it. I love whenever we get to interview someone who's like really, really they've got their what I can't think of a great metaphor right now, but like she's hot right now.
Yeah.
Is what I'm trying to say.
That's why Walden is so hot right now. It's that Zoolander quote.
And I'm very excited. A fresh voice in comics who's got something interesting and different to say. I'm very pumped. So hopefully you guys will join us for that. That's going to be fun.
And like nothing against us. I'm just happy to have like non-dudes guesting on the show. You know what I mean? So like it's just nice to see that as well. So
100%. And the best part is that it's also a very, very talented person.
Exactly. Yeah.
Incredibly.
So
and I got questions about Tegan and Sarah. That's all I gotta say.
Yo, I got mad questions about all of her old stuff. Well, all of her stuff. I'm a huge fan.
Top Lane and Kale saying they didn't know we were twins. Okay. So
my dad said I didn't know they were twins
you can't
either.
tell?
Tyler and I, all right, fine. So we're not exactly twins. There are some differences between us.
But they're brothers, can't you tell?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Tyler
I would
likes
say-
wearing hats,
Yep.
I don't. Yeah.
There's definitely not any very obvious differences, but
I grow beards.
Yeah.
Tyler.
Yeah, that's right.
what do you? I can if I try.
Anyway.
Hold on. I'll get one. It's not working.
Yeah.
One of the few pleasures I've gotten in my life is whenever someone can't grow a beard And they're like, wow, your beard is so thick. And I'm like, yeah, it is.
Yeah, hell
Couple
yeah,
issues
it
there.
is.
Couple issues there. A couple issues. Sean saying few pleasures in my life. Come on, buddy.
Well, you know,
Hey,
and then
listen, he
also
can't-
the pleasure
he
is
can't have cheese. Like
That's
he's
true,
gotta,
that's true.
he's
Yeah,
gotta
yeah,
take
yeah.
it where he can get it.
Playing behind the 8 ball there. Yeah.
So don't forget Saturday, July 1st, 10:15 a.m. Eastern. We will be speaking with Tilly Walden.
Let's go.
That's going to be a lot of fun. Marowak Oscuro says, I mean, weren't Image founders unionized against Marvel before they left?
I don't know that they unionized, but they definitely left.
Yeah, I don't know that that's
I think
the case.
they
left.
tried getting more rights, but I don't think it was an
Right.
official union sort of thing.
They left because, in large part, because they felt they were being exploited, because their books were making Marvel and DC millions of dollars, literally, and they weren't being paid anywhere close to that. So they said, "Hey, we can go get this on our own," and we see how that went. It went really well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Importantly, I
not
don't
in the
think
'90s.
they weren't unionized, but they left together.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Right,
So there
right.
was collective action. Yeah.
Yes. And by the way, it didn't take that long before Image itself started exploiting people. But that's another story.
It's the machine working as intended.
Exactly. God.
All right, we got to get to next, right?
Yeah. It's just so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Anyway, we are leaving Twitch. This is the last Comics Pal stream for now of this show and Pal's Pulls, not of anything, but just these two shows that will be on Twitch for the time being. We may do other things, gaming, if we want to have a fun community night, things like that. Twitch may still be a destination for that. And if we decide that, but don't expect to see us on Twitch, certainly for this podcast. We hope that you guys will join us on YouTube. If someone could be amazing and put the YouTube link in the Twitch chat, that would be fantastic. We will be on YouTube as we are every single week. YouTube is amazing for streamers. YouTube is amazing for discoverability, especially in our niche, which is comics. There are far more people that are looking this stuff up on YouTube than Twitch. And Twitch's new terms of service and everything like that are just anti-streamer. And so we are saying goodbye to Twitch for the time being. Hopefully things will change. But that's the decision that we're making. We really hope that you guys will join us. Those of you that watch us exclusively on Twitch, we really hope you'll join us. The likelihood is that you use YouTube for something else anyways, because YouTube is the largest search engine in the world other than Google. And so hopefully you'll just, make YouTube your home for the Comics Pals. And we appreciate everybody who sticks with us and watches our show. Thank you so much. It means the world.
Speaking of our fans, Sean, do we still read out highlighted messages?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a few in the chat you should probably read out.
Go ahead and read them.
No, I put this time in so you can go ahead and read them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so let me see. So from Marco, wow, I won't read that.
Glizzy.
And then from Catherine, she says, go see the Barbie movie. No.
Yo, Catherine's been in my DMs just being like, yo, how do we get Sean to see the Barbie movie?
How do you get me to see the Barbie movie? Let me think of a scenario that could occur.
We make it Barbie Jean Grey, like
I would like a Barbie of Jean Grey. That'd be pretty cool. They should have that.
That would be pretty cool. Yeah.
A Barbie Jean Grey.
First of all, there are no secrets amongst the pals. Second of all, I don't have a desire to see the Barbie movie. You know what movie I want to see? You know what movie I'm going to see that I already have tickets for?
Sloppy Toppenheimer.
Ooh.
Hell yeah, bro.
Yeah, dude.
I can't wait for that. I'm more excited for that movie than any other movie that is coming out.
It's gonna be the bomb.
I love you. Anyway, the listener poll, if you guys want to vote for what we read on Pals Polls, is up right now. You can go and you can vote on Twitter. Whatever it is that you would like us to read, you can vote for it. And if it wins, we'll read it. So again, that's on twitter.com/theComicsPals right now. Book Club, The Flash is out. Tokyo Ghost is coming. That did win the poll. So that will be out July 4th. Wow, look at that.
Nice American book, Tokyo Ghost.
A
made in China, just like everything else in America.
Incredible.
Well, I mean, it's drawn by a true American landlord.
Now, if you want to support the show, the best way to do that is patreon.com/thecomicspals. That is the most direct way that you can help us out if you're so inclined. We love everybody that does that. We love to give back to everybody that does that. We've got a whole show over there called Palling Around that we do exclusively for our patrons. We put out a newsletter exclusively for our patrons. And amongst other things, we shout our patrons out. So I want to give a very special shout out to the best pals in the universe, Thunderstruck, Rebecca Alejandro, and the Hound of Justice, Atomic Hound. And of course, thank you to the Night Stalker, Harris Nijinsky, Brian Demolisher Del Pozo, Kefis the Incorruptible, Momentum Mike Elliott, Starcross Catherine Stars, Dan the Truth Trudeau, Joel Justice, and Jalen the Sanguine Sorcerer. You guys are fantastic. Not today, Tyler.
Got it.
So yes, patreon.com/thecomicspals. Really appreciate all of you that are supporting us over there. It means the world. Watch this show live every Saturday, 10:15 a.m. Eastern. Thursdays at 6 p.m. Eastern for Pals Pools. And come hang out with us on Discord. It's a lot of fun. We've got a couple of listener comments. Tyler, take it away.
Yeah. So let me get my tab open. And let me go back to the Director Bones Wildcat, MODOK, Spider-Man, Ghost thing. Okay. All right. So we have listener comments from Sanji on the Hickman's Ultimate Universe revival. Giving my noob comic book fan 2 cents. Isn't Hickman like Bendis' successor? Doesn't he take a lot of Bendis' ideas and run with them? Like New Avengers, for example. So to me, Hickman being the writer makes a ton of sense, no? Regardless, I'm a Hickman fanboy, so I'm here for this. And like Marco, I'm excited to be witnessing this in real time for my first time.
Nice.
Yeah, very cool. I never thought about Hickman as Bendis' successor, but it's certainly true. And it's actually funny how true it is. Hickman really got his start at Marvel through Secret Warriors, which was a Bendis book that was really a Hickman book that had Bendis' name on it to sell. So
and even in terms of like big X-Men runs, it was Bendis' run and then little Rosenberg there. But then the next big one was Hickman. Man, sloppy seconds.
And even Avengers, right? It went from Bendis to Hickman. So yeah.
So what is cool. Hickman writing Superman soon?
That'd be wild.
That's not out of the realm of possibility, and I'm pretty sure that'll be damn good.
Yep.
Next up.
Oh, okay. So S Dupuis 3 on guys, can you get some readable usernames, please? On Hickman's Ultimate Universe revival. I left comics when Ultimate Universe was deleted, and now I'm back. I'm gonna need Ultimate Pete, Gwen, and MJ to come back in order for me to stay, though. Yo, diehard Ultimates fan, I like it.
Welcome back. Hope you stay. I don't know that the Ultimate Universe is going to give you exactly what you want, but for your sake, I hope it does. We can't afford to lose any readers, so
welcome back. Sorry to see you go.
So let's see. Aaron Ruiz, you can't trick me. Sean got Jean Grey life-size model hidden in the room. You have no idea.
This is the listen, we were talking about exploitation earlier. This is the reason we can't get paid, is because we had to give up our salary so that Sean would keep it off the camera.
Wow. Yep. Do not.
You had to pay extra for the warming feature.
We said name names. I'm naming it.
Listen, if you want to name names, we could name names, and you know what name I would name. Like I said, we've never been exploited before, and that was a kind of a lie, because we have, just not here. Yeah, not here, but somewhere else. Yes, we were exploited, and we'll tell that story one day.
He said that and it struck fear. I said, okay, all right.
I was like, what
names? I don't know what you got, but fine. I'll back off.
So we've gotten a lot of birthday wishes, so we might as well get into it now. Thank you so much for the birthday wishes. They mean the world. Yesterday, you guys were very kind on Discord to me. Harris telling me to get some Popeyes. I would like that.
Nice.
I love Popeyes very much.
Love that chicken from Popeyes.
Hell yeah.
Eat biscuits.
I can't eat the biscuits, but I did okay for my birthday as far as gifts go.
Ooh.
I got so I mentioned we're reading Tokyo Ghost, so I got this Tokyo Ghost hardcover.
Oh, that's the library edition or the
Yes.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Very nice,
I have that
very
for
nice.
low.
You guys can
Yeah.
see that.
When not to come off, your birthday and everything, but when I talk about how nice the books in France are, that's what they look like, all of them.
Right.
Like that's the standard.
Yeah, it's very beautiful. So that was cool. I have Fantastic Four by Jonathan Hickman coming, so that's exciting. And a couple other things that are not comics related. But what I'm about to show you, I don't even know what is in it. And I have to think about how to show this.
But what? YouTube, TOS, Google.
All right. So I'm going to just cover some details here. But what I'm holding is a FedEx box. I don't know if you can see where this box came from because it's very small. But it came from Burbank, California, from 4000 Warner Boulevard, from Mad Ghost.
Okay, interesting.
That's a Jeff Johns box, my friend.
This is a Jeff Johns box, and this came on my birthday.
Oh,
I highly doubt that Jeff Johns knows my birthday, but it was 2-day shipping, and it arrived on June 16th.
Damn.
I don't know what's in here. I'm going to open it now. So you guys get to experience with me.
Don't be Anthrax. Don't be Anthrax. Don't
imagine, and I just drop dead.
Rising.
Something Green Lantern, right?
Surely. It was the aforementioned exploiter, but he wrote in Mad Ghost just to fuck with Sean, just to catch him off guard.
So I'm actually horrible at opening boxes, unfortunately.
I can tell. Yeah, you're really out of yourself.
So
here.
I'm literally just gonna tear this apart.
There's a tab.
To save time.
You can pull the tab.
I pulled the tab, and this is what happened.
Oh no!
Yeah, start doing some push-ups or something, man.
Dude, I've ripped it off.
That's
why
the
problem.
Podcasting bodies cannot be maintained with current working conditions.
Yeah,
that's
Universal
the exploitation. All right, so
nationalized
I got it open.
healthcare. Let's go.
I got it open. I want to make sure there's nothing like sensitive. Oh shit! Oh shit!
Can't show that. Can't show
Dr.
that.
Joe?
Can't show that.
So
can't show anything. Sorry, guys.
Wow. Oh, is this even out? I don't know if I can show
Put it
this.
in the chat. Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat.
Is there? You might look and see if there's a note somewhere.
I think this is probably fair game.
You got mailed to you.
It's Junkyard Joe trade.
Oh, hey.
Which is not out yet.
Hey.
And on the inside, it's signature. It's got it's Jeff Johns to Sean.
Cool. Shit.
That's rad,
dude.
Absolutely incredible. I'm so happy with that. But that's not all.
Oh, it comes out next. That comes out next week.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's fair.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That it came. Yeah,
that's a cool cover. I wonder if that's a special cover.
Yeah, right. Looks different.
Okay, Jeff Johns. So he sent issues 1 through 6, or rather issues 1 through 6 of Junkyard Joe, all signed. I'd never seen this cover before in my life.
Wow,
I shouldn't even be touching this.
Yeah.
Throw some gloves, you fucking guy.
Why glove it? Come on.
I know.
I know your to read pile. Come on.
Why do you love to bring that up?
It's impressive.
This is funny as hell.
But yeah, every issue of Junkyard Joe signed, and the Junkyard Joe trade signed by Jeff Johns. Wow, thank you, Jeff Johns.
Damn.
Wow.
It's a shame we're about to trash the Flash movie so hard.
Are we?
Yeah.
Well, he
listen,
didn't make it.
I am.
Thank you very much to Jeff Johns. That was pretty cool. I'll have to send a thank you note. Yeah, so that's my gift.
Wow.
Very happy. Yeah, pretty cool. Tyler. What are you getting for your birthday?
Older.
It's pretty good.
Great.
Well, I thought we could do a little birthday bash.
Like a monster mash?
No.
Monster
No.
fuck?
No.
Definitely no.
No. a birthday bash.
Okay, all right.
So I thought,
as the producer of the live product, this worries me.
how can we celebrate Tyler's birthday in the most amazing way possible? Well, we
Thank him for his year of service.
No. That's not interesting. We can talk about some of the takes that Tyler has had that
that I stand by,
that we can bash him for.
I stand by.
That's why it's so annoying. You're just gonna no sell anyway.
You're gonna double down on shit.
I might double down, yeah. Unless like you tell me something that's like, oh boy.
Anybody got one ready?
I mean, he kept saying stand. He said stand very particularly, which means feet.
I was talking to my friend about this the other day. It's a bit, I swear.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay.
It happens off air. It ain't no damn bit.
Dude, my life's a bit, man. I can't help it.
You're a feet fiend.
Just accept it. You know what?
I mean, I appreciate the alliteration there, but it's not the case. Dude, it would be so much easier if I was, though. I can go to the beach and it's just like, yo, it's the greatest place ever. It's like Hooters.
Do you like the beach?
No, it's too much sand.
But the beach
coarse and runs through my fingers.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, well, so okay, Tyler's insistence on bringing up feet constantly.
That one She-Hulk TikTok probably solidified it, but
yeah, it's a little much.
I get it. Not true.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that your dad's watching. You don't want him to know about.
It's not. That would be genetic. It's not true.
Well, listen, I have heard genuinely from like people studying psychology that your kinks come from your parents.
No. Next one.
I got one. And to be fair to Tyler, this originates pre him being on this podcast.
Oh no, you went that far?
Yes. Because it's the most flabbergasting thing that I've ever heard. Tyler stood on the fact for years
Feet again.
that Heroes in Crisis
Oh yeah.
was good.
And tried to fight us about it too.
Yes.
I think I tried fighting on like issue 5 of 6, and 6 came out. I was like, oh boy,
Yeah.
okay. Too soon.
That was rough.
You know what? It's not bad.
Oh, fuck you.
Are you kidding me?
It is. There are good parts. There's good
Okay.
people on both sides.
That was a little bit of a rough take.
I don't think so.
All right, bit over.
Clayton Cowles. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
No, it's
See,
Clayton. The guy I can't remember his name now.
Clayman.
Clayman. Yeah. There we go. Yeah.
Listen, Tyler, you have some rough takes.
Most of it I just don't say on the show. I'm very aware of me being in the public eye. So
Listen, you can turn the tables on me if you want to.
Well, okay. Let's go there.
Go ahead, go there.
Tyler, are you ready?
should I, or we're saving that for later?
We might as well do it now. He's asking for it.
You guys have
asking
a
for it.
bit.
I
love
think
this.
we save it for later. I think we save it for later. So I will say, Sean, we did have a little sidebar, the three of us.
Whoa!
There was some.
Whoa!
There was
Yeah,
some.
Hey,
collusion
listen,
of sorts.
if you'd have let us know, if you'd have let me and Marco know, we could have come
But
with more
here's the
ammunition.
thing. Here's the thing, Sean. The consensus was, all right, let's try to look through a year, like just for the past year. And honestly, the consensus was, Sean's kind of on point.
It's hard. Listen, hey, yeah, that's the thing. It's hard to get Sean because one, his takes are pretty good. And even if they're not straight on point, he can defend it and he can make it make sense. So it's not fun to call him out.
And he likes
But there
debating
is-
too. So like that, he just gets off on it. So it's no fun.
But there
It's
is
also true.
one thing.
Kale, we'll save it. We'll save it. I think
When
it'll
are you
work-
saving this
It'll work.
for?
The
It'll work
opportunity's
better.
presented itself.
You trust us.
Now's the
And we'll-
time.
All right,
What?
then I don't know if you'll be able to hear this though on on the Zoom call, but I guess I'll just put it on the screen.
Might have to go to YouTube, I guess.
So
Oh, that's so funny.
there was a little bet that came up in the Discord between Kefis and Manny, because Manny said that this movie he believed would firmly release in 2024. And Kefis said, I don't know if this movie's ever coming out. And so Kefis said, let's bet an omnibus. So loser gets the winner an omnibus. On his end, saying that this movie will not release on or before December 31st, 2024. I think I want to take that action.
You're saying it will release in 2024?
Yeah. And as you all know, if you're a regular listener, you know that I am currently locked in a bet with Kefis. One of the listeners who bet with me basically that Fantastic Four would not release before the year 2025.
This is what you wanted.
And I said, Kefis, my man, you're bugging. It's definitely going to come out before 2025. And so the release date is November 8th, 2024.
They got to hit that 24. They
got to do it.
That's a nail biter.
So
it's 37 days.
So all right. So what happens if they push it back? Do you lose the bet?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
It has to release within that window. They can delay it up to 37 days, but if they go past that, I lose the bet. Now, I'll tell you this. I think there is a 0% chance that this movie is delayed into 2025, barring some insane disaster. This is ridiculous.
Incredible.
That's it.
It's incredible.
Okay. First of all, I have to tell you that is not a bad take.
No. But you wanted a roast.
I want it. Give it to me. Let's get it.
I agree. Not a bad take. Not a bad take. But it was a wrong take. A wrong take after being very sure about it. 0% chance. 0. And I ain't no math guy. Let me put Marco's maths up here. Marco, can you just let me know what is a 0% chance?
What is a 0% chance? So there is the least possibility possible of it.
I'm gonna stop you there before we get into a Marco minute. I don't know why I was expecting you to do some Steiner math for me. You don't know what that is, and I thought that would have been good, but I'll teach you about that next time. We'll get that ready for next year. Yeah, we'll do some.
Sean said, let's roast each other. And we said, listen, I said, I'm not good at this. I don't want to do this. Don't do this at me. He said, no, yeah, I can take it. Bring it. I said, okay. I said, and then we said, we started thinking about it. I said, there is one thing.
Like an Apple keynote. Just one more thing.
I'm not out on that bet.
I mean, okay, May 2025, 2026, whatever the fuck it is.
Anything can happen. I'm not out on that bet. And Kefis and I agreed that the date itself would have to slip. Like it would need to actually be 2025 with no Fantastic Four movie out.
And that's fine. Yeah.
I have a year.
You need some like a Flashpoint Chrono Ball situation to happen right now.
And we're not, listen, you're definitely still in it. No one's here to dispute that, but we are here to make fun of you for it.
Go ahead. Listen, I'm open.
For being in the running at all.
That's why I don't bet.
In the middle of a writer strike.
Yeah.
My man said 2024. Sure.
Whoa. Hey,
writer strike wasn't happening.
There was no writer strike back then. The circumstances of everything have changed since that conversation. So, look, I don't mind it. I have no shame in it. If I end up having to buy Kefis and Omnibus, hey, enjoy your Omnibus, Kefis. But I'm not out. I'm not out. That's all you guys got?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of
All right. Good bit. Good bit.
Happy birthday, fellas.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Happy birthday. We made Tyler do the production work of the whole thing.
Oh my goodness. All right. So let's get some if you're on YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube, let's get some more likes. If we get to 20 likes, we'll do something special at the end. So let's get to 20 likes on YouTube. If you're watching now and you haven't liked the video, hit that like button. Everybody hit that like button.
Damn, I'm about to like it.
Yeah, please. Everybody like it. Let's get to 20 likes, and then we can do something special at the end of the show. So keep that in the back of your mind. And if someone can pin that on YouTube, if you know how, that would be wonderful. So I do want to bring up John Romita Sr. once again, because there's no way we can do the show without acknowledging this in a more direct way, because John Romita Sr. Has passed, unfortunately, at 93 years old. John Romita Sr. being one of the, Mount Rushmore comics creators of all time, certainly for Spider-Man.
Yeah.
If for some reason you don't think anything else, which I don't know why you wouldn't, but certainly for Spider-Man. An incredible career, co-creating characters that we love, revitalizing Spider-Man, like just point blank. Taking that character, when Stan Lee and Ditko were like not agreeing anymore, and Ditko was doing the plotting and Stan was like not in on that process, and he would just get the pages and then just fill it in with no knowledge of what Ditko was trying to do, just a whole mess. Then here comes Romita, and now all of a sudden we have Mary Jane. Now all of a sudden the characters in Spider-Man look hot. Now all of a sudden sales go up, and now all of a sudden Spider-Man is more of an icon at that point than ever before in the 10 years prior or whatever it had been. And I could go on and on about all the characters, all the incredible artwork and everything else. What stuck out to me the most, what really touched my heart, was the unbelievable outpouring of love and support for John Romita. And it's not just, hey, great career, a tremendous artist, right? It's not just that. It's not just, I was inspired by your work. It's, I knew John Romita, and John Romita helped me. I met John Romita, and John Romita was kind to me. A rock star in comics, a titan of industry who took the time to help everyone that he could, by all accounts. And, I encourage you to look at what these creators had to say. There was one in particular that I really wanted to read, and it's a little bit long, but hopefully you guys will hang in there. And it's from Jimmy Palmiotti. And I thought this was so beautiful. He said, when I started at Marvel back in 91, John was there to help guys like me if we had questions or needed any help with what we were working on. Always handy with tracing paper and pencil to guide us to a better place in our drawings. He did this all the time, and boy, did it make a difference. He knew instantly what to do and how to correct something that was not working. As one of the many there, I was in awe and intimidated by his work and legacy, but he was always sweet and kind and helpful. Years later, we were working on a Daredevil book for Marvel Knights, and we were getting pinups done by the greats in comics, and I asked John if he would do one for the book. He did, and he asked me to ink it. Well, I couldn't believe he wanted me to do it. I was flattered and scared to death, and went home and penciled his masterpiece and started to paste up on my walls copies of his work so I could try to imitate what he liked to see. I worked on this with sweaty palms for a few days and then handed it to him when done. He looked it over, turned it a few times. Nervously, I watched, sweating like hell, anticipating I don't know what. And then that big, beautiful smile came across his face, and he simply said, "Nice job, kid." And it felt like I had just won the lottery. Seriously. I was so happy he was happy. I really, really wanted to please him, and I did. I was on cloud nine for weeks, and then I got a package marked with my name inside it, and it was the original piece. John said I did such a nice job, he wanted me to have the original. I couldn't believe it. I was floored at how generous he was to this nobody. I was taken aback. His act of kindness left such an impression on me. I have been paying it forward the rest of my life, as best I could, with others in the same place as I was. His generosity and willingness to share his talent was just a gift to the world. I really loved the man, loved his work. He will forever live on in my heart. And then he shares the piece of that, of art. Rest in peace, John. You are missed. In that story, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was going to go into a different story. You go ahead.
In that story, there are the hallmarks of a person who is awestruck and has a reverence for a person that we have seen exploited time and time and time and time again. That same energy that Palmiotti had for Romita. How many times have you not heard of, let's say, for example, a woman who, loved Warren Ellis, and then that became a bit of a weird situation? We talked about that a lot. Countless stories like that. Forget comics, just in the world, right? Happens all the time. Men, women,
heroes.
Yeah. And here's a story where everything couldn't have gone any better. Exactly the way that's supposed to go. And it's beautiful to me. And I love that Jimmy Palmiotti shared that story. What a remarkable man.
Dan Slott shared a good story too that I think you should, if you can, check out Dan Slott's tweets about him as an intern at Marvel.
Yeah, that was a great story. It was something to the effect of Dan was interning at Marvel at the time, and Romita was doing portfolio reviews at a comic book shop or something, and Dan showed up with his work and showed it to Romita, and Romita said, "Don't I know you?" And Dan was like, No, I'm not. I don't think so." And he went, No, you're Danny from The Office. Show this to me later.
Yeah.
And I think he got like the Marvel treatment out of it, is the story.
That's awesome.
Even recognizing
Chip
the little guy, sort of thing.
Chip Zdarsky has a story sort of similar to that, but he was a young kid. Romita went to Toronto to a comic shop to sign stuff and to do stuff, and Zdarsky took his own kid work to show Romita, so that Romita could see how talented he was, and how he could so Romita could give him a job, being the genius that he was. And Romita took a look at his the books that he had to sign, and he signed them, and he looked at Zdarsky's work, and he said, "Oh, wow, this is really great." And he pointed out some stuff he really liked about it. And Zdarsky kind of sat there for a minute, and Romita said, "Was there anything else?" Romita, he said, "Yeah, will you sign it?" Romita said, "Okay." So he wrote, "Okay!" exclamation point. John Romita.
That's cute. And I love how playful he seemed to be.
Yeah.
And it always seemed like a genuine warmth, and nothing that I read ever seemed to come across from a place of malice. Every art critique, every piece of advice, it seems like he always remembered to be kind first.
Yeah. One story I heard a long time ago, and I don't even remember what context it might have been. For a while, I was obsessed with the Daredevil movie special features. It may have been in this because
specific,
the Romitas were such a big deal for the Daredevil title. Romita Sr. talked about it may have been an interview with both of them, Senior and Junior. Senior was talking about knowing that Junior wanted to be a comic book artist and wanted to draw. And Senior said, I knew what he did, but I really tried not to invade his space, because I didn't want to tell him what to do. I wanted him to develop his own style. I didn't want him to emulate me. I wanted him to do his own thing.
Mm.
And it, it seemed like that was such a big factor. That non-influence, that sort of hands-off parenting that Senior was doing for Junior, that made their careers, or Junior's career, blow up and take off.
And you can see it in just they have different art styles,
Yeah, very.
Or like sometimes like the Q*bert's like, oh, I can tell this is a Q*bert. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah,
I feel like whenever we talk about these deaths in comics, particularly with the greats, the all-timers, I always say, hey, you had a wonderful career. You got to live the fullness of that career. And that's a beautiful thing. And that I believe that's true, and that's wonderful. And John Romita Sr. died in his sleep peacefully, by all accounts, according to his son. So that's beautiful as well. But the most beautiful thing, I think, that a person can do in life is to make other people's lives a little bit better. And being an influence of good and positivity in a world that doesn't always have a lot of that in it. And especially in an industry that we talked about, as exploitative as comics is, for your hero, for the hero of comics, one of the heroes of comics, to also be a good man. I can't think of anything sweeter, and that's your legacy. Yeah, there's a lot of great stories in comics, but we don't maybe have Jimmy Palmiotti if John Romita says, dude, you are not good. Like, you shouldn't be here.
What'd you put that line there for?
Right. You can turn people away, good people away, by being a bad person to them. And Romita lived his life vowing, by all accounts, to not do that. And that's great. And I wish more people were like that. He's an example of how comics really can change and be better. I'd like to end just by quickly sharing a couple of our favorite John Romita images from the comics, because he was that good, and it's nice.
Yeah, for me, it's I think it's Amazing Spider-Man 50. It's the iconic suit in the trash can as Peter walks away in the rain. It's like that has been riffed on comics since, and it probably always will. It's the definition of iconic.
Yeah.
Sean, surprising no one, picked the redhead, with the famous "Face It, Tiger, you just hit the jackpot" panel.
Introduction of Mary Jane Watson.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's good.
Yep.
What is it with comic creators at the time and gingers?
There is something about that. Supposedly, and now, I don't. There probably is documentation. I've only heard it anecdotally. What I've heard is that it's supposed to be a stand-in for people of color.
Jesus.
Because I guess the reasoning being potentially the inks and stuff couldn't make it work. I don't necessarily think that's the case in all of it, but
and then
Never heard that before.
Hale, you had this girls love story.
Yeah, I think it's important to remember that a lot of early comics covered a lot of genres. And so romance comics and girls comics were huge all over the world. And Romita was a big, a lot of the reason we love Spider-Man is because everybody in his books were hot. Well, that started because Romita was doing, romance comics, and like, look at the face on that redhead. Like, it's incredible work.
I saw
Really
Girls
is.
Love, and I was like, oh, it's one of those manga that Marco reads.
Is this Yuri?
I was looking at
and
that
then-
cover, and
then-
I'm like, damn, when did that come out again?
Yeah.
That looks really good.
That might have been a more modern colored version. I'm not
Okay.
sure, but
Yeah,
and then you picked Amazing Spider-Man. What issue is this? 39? No, that's the date. This is the Green Goblin lassoing up Peter Parker.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing in Spider-Man Blue the reproduction of this by Tim Sale the first time. And it's such a cool image. It's so kinetic and threatening at the same time. Like, you know, if you know anything about Spider-Man, and even if you don't, the image work here that Romita is doing, it puts you in like the what's gonna happen here mood, you know. It creates suspense.
You know what? All I have left to say is thank you, because I think there are a lot of people that would not be in the comics industry if it wasn't for John. And thank you for giving us, you know, what we know as Spider-Man, because a lot of the visual elements, probably even some of the story elements potentially, are due to what John Romita Sr. rather did. So thank you so much, and a life well lived.
Rest in peace.
Yep.
Let's talk about Marvel's film slate.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys roasted me a little bit about my Fantastic Four take. And wow. Because Marvel announced delays to almost everything that was supposed to be coming out on film.
The whole goddamn line.
Yeah, it's really, really crazy. And it's across Disney. So there were like Star Wars delays, Avatar, all the Avatars were delayed, 3, 4, 5. Avatar 5 is coming out 2031.
Yeah.
Zoe Saldana said that she was like in her 20s when it started, and she'll be in her 50s by the time it ends, which is absurd.
What?
That was like the beginning of her career, practically.
Yeah.
That was one of her earliest projects. Yep. So
it was that, and then Star Trek, I think, and then she blew up.
Yeah, La Colombiana. That was a decent movie. I like that. On the Marvel side of things, though, they delayed, again, almost everything. So from the top, Captain America, which is not any longer called New World Order.
Thank God.
In another Marvel having no balls, they changed the name to Brave New World. It had a release date of 5/3/24, so May 3rd. It's now coming out in July of 2024, so it got pushed back 2 months. Thunderbolts was supposed to come out on July 26th, the same date that Captain America moved to. That's now coming out December 20th.
Damn.
2024.
Strange Christmas movie.
Yeah, what the heck? 5 months back. Blade delayed yet again. Big surprise. That was supposed to come out September 6th, 2024. Now that's coming out February 14th, 2025. It says untitled Deadpool movie, so I assume that references Deadpool 3.
Yeah.
That was supposed to come out in November 8th, 2024. Now that actually got moved up to April 2024.
This is May 3rd here.
I'm sorry, May. Yeah, May, not April.
That took the original Cap spot, sounds like.
Yeah, exactly. It took the Captain America spot.
Which
Fantastic Four.
Okay, go ahead.
Which was dated February 14th, 2025.
Yep.
Well, it's now dated May 2nd.
What?
2025. Not great for my bet with Kefis.
Nope.
I think there's a slim chance, I think.
Listen, I'm holding on.
I see it. Trust me.
I'm
By the
holding on.
nails.
See the
The
vision?
most egregious delays certainly were to the Avengers films. Avengers, it says Avengers Secret Wars was previously dated. Oh, I see. Yeah. Avengers Kang Dynasty was going to come out May 2nd, 2025. It's now coming out May 1st, 2026. So a whole year delay. And then Secret Wars was supposed to come out May 1st, 2026. Now it's coming out May 7th, 2027.
Damn.
So we won't get our next Avengers movie for 3 years now.
When was Endgame?
2019?
And
2018?
When's Kang coming out?
Kang Dynasty?
Yeah.
Kang Dynasty is coming out, yeah, May
2026.
Yeah, 26.
So the wait
Almost 10
between
years.
Endgame and Kang Dynasty is almost as, I would say, longer than it was between Iron Man and Avengers.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
So it's longer than waiting for the first. That's wild. Yeah.
It's 7 years.
Yeah.
That's way, way, way too long. And I think Marvel's in trouble
Yeah.
because not having an Avengers movie to bolster the last couple of phases, I think has harmed them enough. And 7 years between their biggest possible movie is bad. Like the Avengers movies is a franchise unto itself.
I've had friends that are like I would say casual kind of MC, like they're MCU fans, not really comic fans. And say like, oh yeah, MCU dropped off after Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
Like outright.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I don't know what's going on over there. I don't know why they thought they could go as long as they were planning to without an Avengers movie. But now
it's bad.
It's bad. It's bad. This slate is already not that exciting to me anymore. It's kind of like whatever. And now it's getting longer and longer before we're actually going to see these projects.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, this isn't that hot anymore.
Now hype for Blade?
I mean, I'm gonna need to be a vampire to live long enough to see all these movies.
Gotta make it first.
Right. Like, what is going on? And it's not gonna improve. Like, these movies aren't gonna come out earlier. They're not shifting these dates. As much as I'm talking about Fantastic Four in my bet, I know it's not coming out in 2024. There's no way. And what are we going to do in the meantime? Watch the television shows? This is a dire situation.
They're not getting made anyway right now anyway because of the strike.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. We're going to see delays hit that too.
And that's what is causing these delays. Like,
and they're tightening up financially.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So all of that together makes me feel like by the time we see Kang Dynasty, people might not care as much. And I hate to say that.
I don't think they care as much now. Like, and that's only going to continue to diminish.
I know we hyperbolize a lot about the superhero bubble bursting, but I mean, that could be it.
Don't worry, we have two more Star Wars movies coming out, so we can go do that instead. Or wait, maybe there's a great DCU being made right now. I hope there's a movie that'll tell me about that.
I was gonna say that while Marvel's taking their break here, presumably DC is gonna be pumping out their slate of films. We haven't heard about their delays yet, if they're coming.
I mean, right now it's pre-production, so they can kind of still do that stuff right now without having to worry about writing. Or I guess James Gunn wrote his script for Superman before the strike. So
at minimum, there's that. So they can be working on that.
Yeah. I don't know how Marvel gets out of this. I'm a big, big believer that there's no superhero bubble. I believe that people want to see movies that are good and they don't want to see movies that aren't good. But there is an element of staying in the conversation. And Marvel has dominated the conversation. And they've done it with the Avengers.
The the more it goes with this kind of stagnation, the more I feel like Secret Wars will be a full-on reboot. So they can have Cap again. So they can have Iron Man again. They can have all their heavy hitters again.
I don't know. I think at this they're committing to the changes to prop up that next wave, because they need to start thinking about the next 10 to 15 years more so. And I think to your point, Sean, on like the people are just looking to a good movie, Guardians is a good example of that. The latest one of just like, oh, that people relatively showed up for that, and it had good press, good praise from creators, or from audiences rather.
And critics
and I think
too,
you need critics too. I think you need that to build that momentum back, because we've had stinkers, bro, and that's been the narrative. The narrative is, well, these movies just aren't up to par anymore, and that changed with one good film.
Well, it's a good thing they still have James Gunn. Wait, fuck, shit.
Oops. But that one at the very least had heart, and I think you need to be able to put that and make that the focus with these next with the slate of next films. Otherwise, you're not going to bring the audience back. You're not going to have people care to want to go see these things. So,
well, and by the time Kang comes out, like they're going to have to be thinking about a next generation.
Exactly. You have to at this point.
Babies who are being born now, by then will be,
adults, and they will have grown up with these. These are my
adults.
I don't know about adults, but I mean, I'm thinking like by then they'll be like 10, 11 years old.
Oh, I was thinking the next 20 years.
Well, I don't.
I said Kang specifically. So.
No, but I'm saying like these will be those. These are going to be my Avengers. Like there will be a generation of people who say, "Oh no, these guys are my era of Avengers."
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, yeah. But even like who's supposed to be the next generation of Avengers, they're going to be 57 years old by the time that their time comes. Because you look at America Chavez, who we just got introduced to. You look at Kate Bishop and all these different people. They're playing young people. That's the whole idea, right? Miss Marvel and that. Mm-hmm. How old is the Miss Marvel actress going to be in 2027?
Going to be like John Travolta in Grease. Like, that's not a high schooler.
Going to be 30 years old playing a high school student, which we've had before, of course, Spider-Man movies, but, it's a little weird.
Yeah, it's going to be fucking Riverdale.
And they're getting into that territory very quickly.
Sure.
So, and they're going to lose actors like Mark Ruffalo. Mark Ruffalo's not a spring chicken. Is he still going to be, doing this?
And they finally got the rights back to Hulk like 2 days ago. So.
Oh yeah.
Allegedly, we don't know it for a fact, but
on Disney Plus. So
I believe it. Yeah. But no one has announced it.
Aaron Ruiz says, "Come on, Alan Moore, come out. We need a Watchmen movie for superheroes. Time for deconstruction." Man, we haven't even had a reconstruction. We haven't even had a construction. Like,
we're still constructing right now. That's not a word. Constructing right now.
No, you did it right.
Okay.
By the way, we're 2 likes away from our likes goal. So if you haven't liked on YouTube yet, please do that. If you're watching on Twitch, hey, jump over to YouTube. At least hit the like button. That would help us. We'll get to do something fun at the end of the show. What's the fun? It might be a little drafty.
Oh, you'll have to find out.
Thank God this summer heat is killing me.
Yeah, me too.
Typical British person. Oh no, it's 70 degrees.
Bro, I live in a house made of brick. I live in a pizza oven.
That's funny. I wish I could eat pizza. Marowak Oscuro says, "Do you think they'll replace Jonathan Majors because of his scandal?" Well, I'll tell you this. By 2026, I highly doubt that anybody will be talking about it. So if Marvel is looking for a little bit of breathing room, they got it. I'm not trying to imply that that's the reason for the delay.
Well, genuinely, that could be a factor.
Yeah, and I'm also I wouldn't imply that that's the right thing to do, but it's also the business sense. Yeah,
yeah.
We still have Warner handle Ezra, so precedent's there to just sweep things under the rug.
Yeah.
Right. So do I think that it'll happen? Only if something else comes out. If nothing else comes out, I think Jonathan Majors will be fine. He does have a skin color disadvantage, but
Blue?
Well, in certain states. Oh, that was too dark.
Oh,
Sorry.
Oh no!
Wow,
Sorry.
that was really dark. Catherine
Shit.
says,
Jesus.
wow, the fun is Sean will buy a Barbie ticket. Nope. That's not going to be occurring. So moving on. Void Rivals is a new Image comic that dropped this week. Robert Kirkman, Lorenzo De Felici. We read it and reviewed it on Palspol, so if you want to hear our thoughts about it, you can absolutely go and do that. But it contains the debut of a shared universe that was a massive, massive reveal in the book. It is a huge spoiler, so if you haven't read the book yet, then if you want to read it first, that's totally cool, but it's everywhere now, so we're going to talk about it, and it's already out.
I'd also argue the spoiler is irrelevant to the plot of the book.
Yeah, 100%.
fair. Yeah.
So what we learned is that Image is partnering with Hasbro for the Energon universe, and that grants them the ability to use in a shared universe Transformers, G.I. Joe, and the Void Rivals characters that Robert Kirkman is developing with Lorenzo, obviously. This is super cool. Fun fact, Void Rivals is actually owned by Hasbro.
Oh.
So what it looks like is that Robert Kirkman and Lorenzo got a heavy bag to develop a new property for Hasbro that Hasbro is now, allowing Image to publish alongside Transformers and G.I. Joe as a shared universe. It's basically the Hasbro universe in Image.
And then Hasbro can be like, hey, we got some Void Rivals toys coming out.
150 million%, yes.
And those ships look cool. Like if it's like a ship. Okay. All right.
Right. So it's actually a really smart partnership between these two companies. I love it. I think it's great for Image. I think it's great for Hasbro, quite frankly. It's really great for Robert Kirkman, who has to be in the top 10 smartest people to ever work in comics as it relates to getting their fucking bag.
There's a reason why he's an honorary founder,
Right. That's insane.
Working his way to be an honorary founder of Hasbro.
Yo.
Yeah. But like in terms of the Hasbro thing too, is like their other big property that they have Indiana Jones and they have Lucasfilm, they have Marvel. Like that's their stuff that they do too. But the other one is Power Rangers. So honestly, once that license, lapses at Boom, it ain't looking good for Boom.
I don't know. I don't think Boom's gonna let that go.
But do they can they offer the same as I don't know.
I think that's their moneymaker. I think they will disenfranchise any number of creators to get that.
Yeah, but then like just for Hasbro having it all under one roof, crossover potential, we'll see. Hopefully,
the potential is really endless.
Yeah,
it really, really is. And let's talk about the Transformers end of it, because we got our first creative team for that, and the creative team is really Daniel Warren Johnson, who's going to write it, who's going to do the art on it. Mike Spicer is going to join him, which is super cool. Love Mike Spicer. This is hot. I want to see Optimus Prime do a power bomb.
We're going to see it.
Yeah, we're going to see it.
We're going to see Starscream hitting top rope Spanish Fly,
Top rope.
I don't know what that means, but I bet it's gonna look cool as hell.
Yeah.
If Daniel Warren Johnson is drawing it, it's gonna look cool as hell.
Gonna be I don't know, Bumblebee doing a stretch muffler,
That's funny. Anybody
stretching his muffler?
I don't like the implications of that one bit.
Culture yourself.
It's a real move, but Tyler, the way his mind works, he was able to pull that shit out of his brain and apply that here.
I was gonna say Ishigoroshi, but
if Daniel Warren Johnson's doing it, I guess I'll show up.
Yeah.
He can stretch his muffler all he wants.
Yeah, I mean, I've never read a Transformers comic before. Quite frankly, my enjoyment of the Transformers is limited to the Beast Wars television show
Hell yeah.
and
Trap.
the first movie, the first like live action one. So that's really all I like love about Transformers, but I suspect that they will make a fan out of me even deeper with this comic.
Daniel Warren Johnson don't miss, and all the interviews and like images I've seen of him drawing in his studio, he's got Transformers all over the place. So
Sick.
I think he's excited about this.
Yeah, it's super super cool. Transformers is going to be out in September, but we also learned about Duke #1, coming from Joshua Williamson and Tom Riley. That'll be out in December. And we also know that Cobra Commander #1 will be by the aforementioned Joshua Williamson with art by Andrea Milana in January. So those are the 3 books that are announced so far.
4.
Oh, sorry, did I miss one?
Yeah, they announced separately that G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, is continuing with 301.
Oh, that's right, with Larry Hama coming back, right?
coming back,
Yeah.
with
Oh,
Chris
pretty cool.
Mooneyham on art, and like that is another one. I'm like, they know what they're doing with this creative team
With who on
An
it?
Image.
at Image. Yeah,
They're continuing the
they're
numbering.
continuing the
at
numbering.
Image.
Yep.
That's a good idea.
Nuts.
Yeah, because G.I. Joe fans just, I think they're continuity nerds. So,
Yeah.
the original Snake Eyes is coming back. It's got Kubert covers. Like, it's okay. Let's go.
Sick.
Is this? Do you feel like this reads as a bad sign for Image as a business, like long term, that they're now turning or potentially have to turn to licensed books as opposed to the very idea of Image being brand new properties, its own IPs?
I don't view this as have to. I view this as you can't say no to this.
I also
Like-
think that proposition sort of values, well, either way, it places a value on license versus indie stuff. And
What do you mean?
well, a Transformers license is better than an indie book, or an indie book is inherently better than a licensed book.
Mm.
And that's not necessary. That's not true. It's not. I think we sort of view it that way because we're trained to do that a little bit, but it's still a book, So I think Image is going to see this as a massive win.
I do too. I think this is great. I think the Hasbro books the IP was going somewhere, and I don't see a reason why anyone, even Marvel, I don't see a reason why anyone wouldn't go for it. I'm glad that it didn't go to Marvel or DC, simply because, spread the love. I like that. I like Image getting a little bit of that. We don't really talk about these books very much, but at least the G.I. Joe I know is pretty popular. And I imagine that Transformers does fine as well. So I think that this is a nice little bolstering for Image that, hey, they're still going to do all their great creator-owned stuff that they do. I just think this is another way for people to get some extra cheese, man. And that's a good thing.
Yeah. Hasbro's got money.
Hey, if even just these creators that we're discussing are getting a little bit of an extra bag, I think that's nice.
Yeah.
Why not?
And even if this gets extra money to Image so that they can put out another indie book, like, cool.
Good.
Sure. Yeah.
As long as they pay people.
Right.
Well, we hit our likes goal. Thank you, everybody that made that happen. So that means that we get to play the draft game. And what are we drafting this time?
We're all going to war with G.I. Joe. All right.
No, because I don't know
Nice.
anything about that.
I'm going to go ahead and die.
We're going to be drafting our teams of Justice League members.
You're done. You're done. That's it. You're done.
Who's the you? Who's
Yeah,
done?
motherfucker, you're done.
I'm gonna win so hard on this one.
Yeah, I hope.
You know-
Okay, Sean Cale.
3 Justice League members.
Sean Cale.
Just don't pick him and I win, okay?
Pick Swamp Thing. Pick it out from under him.
Hey,
It's Swamp Thing. I don't want that trash on my Justice League team.
that's why I picked Jean Grey first in the X-Men draft, because I'm like, one of these people will definitely draft her under me.
You
just
know
to
I was
do it to
thinking
me.
about it, but
Of course you were.
I went last, so I couldn't.
Hey, people felt for you, man, in the comments.
Yeah, they were like, revote. They were like, yo, the order makes no sense. Tyler gets short shift every time. So.
Yeah, well, it sucks to suck, I guess.
And they just voted for you everywhere else.
Perry says Hasbro really wants more billion-dollar franchises. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's great for everybody involved. All right. Let's draft our Justice League teams. I will explain the rules. We are drafting 6 people from DC Comics who have been members of a version of the Justice League. Right? So if they were on Justice League Dark, but not Justice League proper, that's acceptable in this case. All right?
International Society? Does society count?
No.
No, that's a
league.
different. Yeah. It's a different.
Okay.
I will roll 2 6-sided dice. As you can see, I have Avengers themed dice. Unfortunately, I don't have DC themed dice, but I have
off-brand Justice
Avengers
League.
ones. I got to get some Justice League dice.
We got Justice League at home.
I will roll them to determine the order in which we are allowed to pick our characters. And so that is all the context I think you guys need to know. I will now
Get rid of all the other
roll.
stuff, Sean. All right, we're good.
So here we go.
Who's this
I'm
for?
rolling
Who's
the
this
dice.
for?
This is for Tyler.
Okay.
That is a 5.
Damn.
So not a great start.
Never going to
This-
Vegas.
Oh, shoot. This one will be for me.
Hey, don't swap those dice out. I saw that shit.
That is a 7. So not much better.
Who's that for?
That was for me. This is for Marco.
Come on, baby.
An 8.
Let's go.
And this one's for Kale. An 11.
Wepa.
Holy crap.
Fucking hell.
Wow. So the order is Kale, Marco,
Sweet.
me, and Tyler. Tyler last again. What is this? Is this collusion?
Sucks to suck.
Seriously.
Rigged dice?
It's
Yeah,
like
good.
it's like
Dice are
Reed
waiting.
it's like where'd you get that those dice from? Reed Pop's press company? Like, sheesh.
All right. Birthday
win,
bash
can't
yourself, I guess.
Can't win.
Let's do this. Kale, kick it off.
Remind me to check my email. Taking it
Boy,
off fast.
going first is tough. But I'm gonna make the move everybody wants to make.
Make
Do
it.
I'm gonna say Batman.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right.
Marco up.
Superman.
So, are you
Very
picking
good.
soup or are you picking man? You can't pick two.
Sorry.
Soup or man? Which one are you picking?
Superman.
Fuck
Never
off.
mind.
Let's go.
All right.
Yeah,
All right. Let's keep going.
I'm going to draft Wonder Woman.
Man, I don't even get a big 3.
Trinity's out the
It's
way.
always just-
Easy.
Shit. I'll specify here. Wally West.
Nice.
Oh.
So that does that take Flash off the table? We've had an argument about this.
I don't think it does.
Okay.
Not in this game. Anyway.
Yo, Kale was ready to fucking throw down for that.
Kale, you're up.
Oh, it's my turn. Hal Jordan.
Oh.
Okay.
I was gonna say John Stewart.
You can.
Is that your answer?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Double green.
I'm gonna say Barry Allen Flash.
The inferior Flash. Man, I don't have Superman. I don't have Batman. I Wonder Woman. I got like no muscle. I got a dude who runs weird.
Who runs weird.
Barry Allen runs weird.
We'll talk
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
Shit. I think because I need the power set. Supergirl.
Ooh.
Okay. Okay. Kale?
I want to go out of the core, but I don't think I'm ready yet.
Right? There's like a deep core. It's like, oh, you need these, you know?
I know. I'm gonna take Martian Manhunter.
Oh, okay. Actually, that's all right. I'm gonna do Aquaman then.
Yeah, I figured.
Now I'm gonna get weird.
Damn.
I gotta
This
get weird
is-
from the get. Jeez.
I'm gonna draft Darkseid.
Damn.
That's what I was gonna get
I
weird
was
with.
waiting for
Fucking Odyssey, whatever that bullshit is.
Absolutely.
Mother. Yeah. Give me Dr. Fate.
Nice.
I'm gonna do something similar. I'm gonna go with Zatanna.
Oh.
Wow. That's good. That's good. Marco.
Firestorm.
Wow.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Somebody just named someone he knew.
Hey now, don't mess with my strategy.
Marco's scraping the bottom of the barrel.
The bottom of my barrel.
Nuts. I will draft Cyborg.
Oh.
Oh, at least somebody remembered him.
Tyler?
I'm up, so I have
You have Wally West,
not feeling
Supergirl,
this
and
one,
Dr.
guys.
Fate.
I have Wally. You know what? Sinestro.
Okay. I'm assuming you know for a fact. That
I
he
know
was
multiple
on this.
times for a fact, yeah.
Okay. Cool. Kale.
The Atom.
Oh, that's good.
Good, yeah.
Can't have a Justice League team without the Atom.
Hawk Girl.
Mm. All right. Hawk Girl. I will choose Shazam. Don't know how he's still available.
I have a question. Justice League Incarnate. Does that count?
Justice League.
All right, give me Calvin Ellis. Good old
Ooh,
President Superman.
Interesting.
Okay. Kale, this is your last pick.
Yeah, I'm just seeing who I
All these cheaters looking up characters.
I have to at this point.
Tyler pulling Calvin Ellis out of his ass.
Oh, that's tough.
That sounds like it hurts.
I'm gonna say Plastic Man.
Okay. I think this is where we gotta do our funny picks, you know.
Can I do Batman Beyond?
I don't know if he's ever been on the league.
He's been on. He has his own Justice League.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So sure.
Pick.
I was genuinely thinking of the cartoon, so I didn't know that.
It's a league.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I am going to actually do it, and I'm going to draft Swamp Thing.
Shit, I was just about to do it. Damn it, I was saving it for last. Zatanna was picked already, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Demon.
Hawkgirl's picked already. Martian Manhunter's picked already. All my favorites are gone.
There's one favorite that I think you've missed.
I ain't gonna remember it because
I'm not gonna tell you either.
I want Buddy Baker. Give me Animal Man.
Nice. I almost went that direction too.
That was
Yeah.
good.
Nice.
Surprised we left off Green Arrow.
I was just thinking that. Yeah.
I was thinking of him, but I needed like if we're doing like who wins.
That's the thing. I said I was gonna do like a Batman and then Green Arrow, and then I was like, well, I don't want to handicap myself anymore. I've already got Batman.
Yeah, I want to read that. But the TikTok audience, you know, they're gonna be like, ooh, humans.
John Constantine was one I thought of, but I was like,
Oh yeah.
So here are the teams to recap. Kale got Batman, Hal Jordan, Martian Manhunter, Zatanna, the Atom, and Plastic Man. Marco got Superman, John Stewart, Aquaman, Firestorm, Hawk Girl, and Batman 2099.
Oh, Batman 2099.
I'm sorry, Batman Beyond.
Beyond.
I mean, you're not wrong. You're
That
not
was pretty
wrong.
good. That was actually pretty good.
I literally wrote Batman 2099 too. That's the fucked up part. That wasn't a joke. I drafted Wonder Woman, Barry Allen Flash, Darkseid, Cyborg, Shazam, and Swamp Thing. And Tyler got Wally West Flash, Supergirl, Dr. Fate, Sinestro, Calvin Ellis, and Animal Man. I don't know. This is a tough one. Audience, what do you guys think? Who do you feel won this draft? Because honestly, I genuinely think all these teams are kind of good.
I gotta
really
say,
like
Marco,
mine.
your best team so far.
Yeah.
It's because it's mainstream.
I know you like to be an edgelord.
Yeah.
He can't be edgy in this because he doesn't know DC characters.
I mean, I could pick random ass shit. But
Go
like,
ahead.
Let me get a Dr. Midnight and the Crimson Avenger.
a demon.
So yeah, real quick, who do you guys think won the draft? We would love to hear from you. I feel like you can make an argument for any of our lists, and I'm tight that Superman went to Marco. I must say.
Okay, good. Roll the dice better.
Yeah, no, please do.
All right, yeah. So that's the draft. It's up to you guys who won the draft. Thank you for getting us to the likes goal so that we could draft. And of course, this is something that we love to do. Hopefully, you guys enjoy it as well. We appreciate it. So that is going to do it for us. Let us know your thoughts about the draft. Let us know your thoughts about our main topic today, Comics Broke Me. Obviously, it's a heavy subject that everybody has an opinion on. Aaron Ruiz says, first Marco W ever, question mark?
Definitely
Ever.
like the third, probably.
Not even on the podcast, just in
life.
in life across the board.
Yeah, it might be. So yeah, let us know your thoughts about everything we talked about here today. Reminder that Tilly Walden will be joining us here in a couple of weeks on July 1st for the show. So that's going to be a lot of fun. You can read her work to prepare for that. Patreon.com/The Comics Pals is the best way to support us if you're so inclined. If you enjoyed what we did today, if you generally enjoy our show, then I can promise that there's a lot more where this comes from. And Patreon is the way to access that. It also helps us out a lot. So we appreciate everybody that makes the choice to join us over there. But support can be as simple as a like on a YouTube video or, a retweet or anything like that. So everybody who supports us, big or small, we appreciate you and thank you. If you want to watch this show live. Sorry, Tyler?
I was going to say a little smooch on the cheek might help too.
COVID.
Doesn't exist now.
Not me. I'm married.
Oh, yeah, and also that, me too. I'm not married, but yeah, I'm not looking for that.
Marco, you want us to chime in on this?
The what?
No, nothing.
Huh?
Nothing.
If you want to watch this show live, you can do so every single Saturday at 10:15 a.m. Eastern. We've never missed we've never missed a show. So we've also never missed a Saturday. So come hang out with us for that. Thursdays at 6 p.m. for Pals Pools. This week is a massive week for comics releases. I actually know what we're going to be talking about. We'll be talking about Ultimate Invasion, of course. We'll be talking about Titans #2, the relaunch of Incredible Hulk with #1, and Avengers #2. What's the fifth book going to be? Well, that's up to you guys. You get to vote through the listener poll on Twitter, the Comics Pals Twitter, at the Comics Pals, and you get to choose what the fifth book will be. So head on over there and vote if you want. Book club wise, we've got Flashpoint out. You can read that in preparation for the Flash film review, which is out on Sunday. So if you want to hear our thoughts on the Flash film, check that out. The next book club is Tokyo Ghost, and that will be dropping on July 4th. So we've got a lot of stuff going on to keep up with everything. Join us on Discord. Join us on social media. It's all there. Thank you so much for listening. Let's hit our plugs. Kale.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Comics Pals. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at TotoInto. That's TOTOINTOW. You can find my work at caleward.com. That's CALEWARD.com. I don't have anything to shout out really, but for myself. But I will say that if the comics broke me question affected you in any way, make sure you reach out and support creators directly as much as you can. Specifically, I want to shout out a great small time press called Quindry. They're a small group run by a person named Eve Greenwood. And I think they have, other helpers, but they're the person in charge. And it's a Scottish comics collective. If you are a longtime fan of the show, you'll know Nori Miller, who was like our first or second guest.
Yeah.
Letty Wilson, who did our logo and our faces in the logo. Faye Stacy, whom I've worked with on projects. They have just finished a Kickstarter that was massively successful, but you can get their work if you just Google, Quindry Press. It helps Scottish creators who have a massive indie collective going, and it's incredible.
Awesome. Marco, you're up.
You can follow me at Mr. Marco Enomoto on Instagram and Twitter. Talk to me about I'm watching Darling in the Franxx at the moment. It's my
when people fuck the mechs, right?
Sorry?
When you like people having sex with mechs?
It's an illusion for a lot of stuff there, but yeah, it's horny Evangelion basically. And I've been having a lot of fun. It has a lot to say about stuff, but the animation's been amazing, and the story has been engrossing. So I've been having a lot of fun with it.
Tyler.
You can follow me at the Tyler Olson on Instagram and Twitter. What the hell's going on in my life right now? Nothing. I want to play Diablo every second. I'm not playing Diablo, so that's really what's going on.
That is the exact reason I'm not playing Diablo.
Yep. So yeah, if you're playing Diablo, let me know. Maybe we'll play together. So.
As for me, I'm on Twitter and Instagram only at Sean Soapbox. Don't hit me up. Hit up Tyler. Wish him a happy birthday. He needs it.
He needs a win.
Yeah.
Or
loses die rolls.
Yeah. Get Sean some new dice for my birthday. I'm just gonna give you a D20. How about that?
Why would that help? I have D20s. You think I don't have D20s?
Use the D20 next time. It's cooler, and I can then use hashtag D20 on the.
Dude, my die are comic book themed. Why the hell would I use a generic D20?
The way they're shaped is more appealing.
Okay. Anyway, wish Tyler happy birthday. Thank you so much for joining us for our birthday show and everything else that we did today. Appreciate you.